what is an idea? What is a thought? Why, like, what is it that drives human behavior? What causes an individual to do what they do? What is it about the inner state of someone's mind that causes them to see the world a particular way? Is it easy to shift that inner state? Is it hard? What is it that shifts that internal state? What is it that an individual can do on their own? And how is that different from what an individual can do when they're in a crowd? Is everything that we see around us, the world that we go through every day, the society we've created, is all of that just a product of the things that we think? These are the kinds of ideas that I explored today with Alex Danco on this episode of The Other Stuff. It was a very interesting conversation that, like in reviewing his writing, I kind of started to feel that he kind of, he thinks that the mental scaffolding of a person or a scene or a group of people or a crowd, the mental scaffolding of these people, the things that are in these people's minds, has a huge influence on human behavior. It's this kind of pattern that I kept seeing in all of the things I was, like all his writing that I was reading. And now to have this conversation with him, to see the way he kind of processes all of that in real time, it's very interesting. For me, it's like, when I walk through my day, you see these things, right? You see roads, you see cars, you see people doing things. Right now, like I'm making sounds with my mouth that are going into this microphone that are somehow going into your ears. This is like a language that was created by someone who wasn't me. There's a lot of things like this, and I think they're so real. They're so real that we can forget that at one point they didn't exist. And in order for them to exist, someone had to think something. Someone had to believe something. A group of people or a crowd or a country or a city had to believe in something. And I think one thing I really like about talking, the thing I like about talking with Alex is that he seems to, he has this really great ability to pull you out from this like POV of everything that's happening. And he can kind of pull you into an overhead view through the way that he writes and the way that he thinks. That reminds you, it gives you a meta perspective on everything. Instead of just following the behavior of things, following the momentum of things, he kind of pushes you to step back and look and say, what is it? Why are we moving in this direction? What is it that people believe that are causing us to move in this direction? So yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation with him. I think underneath his writing as an author, I think, or a writer, I think there's somebody that's a really nice person, a really good person that has a strong sense of value. He seems like he cares about humanity and he cares about the world, and I think that like comes through in his writing. It's the first time I've ever talked to him. Very inspiring conversation, very fast paced, touched on a lot of different subjects. Yeah, I think I would love to talk to him again. Yeah. Seems like a guy that would be a great friend. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it. When you look at like talk shows, mm-hmm. I think the first talk show that like brought up the idea of having like a reference you could pull up mm-hmm. was I think like Joe Rogan, right? The first main one where it's like, because like the internet existed for a long time before someone was just like, well, let's just look this shit up right now, right?
I believe Howard Stern did something like this, but it was not as internet native, right? They would have references.
Really?
I think I've seen that before, but it wasn't like this, right? It wasn't as fluent as this is. No, yeah. I think you're right with Rogan, at least in the big sense.
Yeah, and so the thing with him is that he pulls up things like every now and then. Mm-hmm. But with us, it's like we kind of like prioritize like having a certain level of understanding. So it's like if you mention a particular concept that I don't understand.
What is Cloudflare?
What is Cloudflare, right? Like why we would like go, like, why not just make sure we understand it before we move to the next subject, right?
It's very, everything is right here, right? Everything should be right here on your command all the time. Yeah. And when you're having, it's a little bit like, you ever see people like get themselves all worked up into a conversation or a situation where everybody understands if you just went and looked the thing up, there would be no purpose for this conversation. 100%. There would be no purpose for the conflict.
100%.
Right? And like you need a purpose for the conflict, so therefore nobody goes and looks.
Yeah.
Right? It's a standoff.
Sometimes it's fun to let that, that's a really interesting observation, actually. Sometimes it's fun to just let it ride out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was Chuck Klosterman wrote a book about the 90s. It was called The 90s.
All right, let's see this.
So he opens up the book talking about the Mandela effect. Do you know what the Mandela effect is?
The Mandela effect is the idea that something about like there's like a repeating side effect or something like that.
No, I think that was something else. The Mandela effect, at least the one that I'm thinking of, is when you have a situation in society where everybody remembers something wrong.
Yes.
Right. There is just something, and in this case, it was because there was a large number of people who had believed incorrectly that Nelson Mandela had died.
Yes.
Right. People had a very clearly formed memory of this having happened, and he was not dead. He was very much still alive. And so people, there are some other classic examples of this. I'll give you a couple of them. Here's the first one.
Yeah.
Remember the kids' books, The Berenstain Bears?
Yeah.
Spell the word Berenstain.
Berenstein.
Whoa. You're a rare example.
Yes. I mean, I'm a great writer.
So first of all, it's your credentials are showing through. So you're almost right, and that is BEAR. It's like bear.
Damn.
But most
I didn't even spell bear right.
So most people, when asked, I think 85% of people will say it's STEIN, the way you would normally spell that last name, but it was Stain, right? And when you challenge them on this, it was actually the Berenstain Bears. People will get very defensive.
Yeah,
They'll
for
say,
sure.
no, it's not. Fuck you.
Yeah.
It was Berenstain Bears,
Yeah.
right? That's how they remember it. Another classic one, let's see if you're 2 for 2 on this.
Okay.
I want you to imagine the underwear brand Fruit of the Loom. Can you picture those?
Yeah, I'm picturing it. Man.
Picture that logo.
Oh, yeah.
Describe the logo.
It's a bunch of fruits. There's like a grape. There's a grape and some other shit.
Okay, so you're 2 for 2. Most people will describe a cornucopia with the fruit in it. They'll say, "Oh, it's a bunch of fruit in a cornucopia," but there's no cornucopia. It's just a fruit.
I have like I'm a great writer. I've got a above average pattern recognition. My visual memory is insane.
Well, you're not lying to yourself. I think that's what this tells me. So anyway, to get to Mandela effect. So
yes.
This 2 for 2. That's very impressive. Why were we on this topic again?
We were talking about this because of I don't remember.
Well, we all remember why we're talking about this wrong.
Yeah.
It's very strong. Oh, we're talking about the 90s.
Yes.
We're talking about the 90s. Oh, and how the 90s was a period of time where a lot of these societal misrememberings that we have are actually took place in the 90s.
Really?
Right? And his thesis about this is that the 90s was the last decade before you could look things up on the internet.
Oh.
Right? It was like you could just have a discussion and be like, oh, it was definitely this. And then that was it.
Yeah.
There's nothing more you could do. I remember why. It was because we were talking about looking things up and having the
totally.
truth.
Yes.
Right. He's saying this is the last decade where there could be such a thing as a mass truth, but without quick verification of that thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think the implications of that kind of thing is? Have you thought about that at all? Like there's this, because there is a certain, like, that's the weird thing. You would think it's good. Something like that. Oh, you can get access to the information. You can get access to any information you need. You can just look it up right away, and there it is. Well, there's some problems with that. Mm-hmm. One is like, what if the information is incorrect? The second thing is just like, are there some kind of like side effects, some useful side effects to like discourse and reasoning and kind of arguing it out and not knowing the answer, you know? Mm.
So there's 2 levels to this. I think the first level is the information itself.
Yeah.
And you can have things that are kind of objectively factual, and that's all well and good. But then you have things that are, I I guess you would call them self-creating realities.
Yeah.
Which are, who's to say whether this is true or that is true? It kind of depends on what we all perceive it to be.
Like, what do you mean?
So, okay, a good example of, you're getting into a concept called reflexivity, which is where it's any situation in life where if you have the relationship between the perception of something and what the thing actually is, where the perception is actually an input to what the thing is.
Right.
Right? Where the perception itself is actually a causal drive of the thing. So I'll give you a couple examples.
Yeah. The perception is the input, which means the perception is causing a particular behavior.
Yeah, or not just a behavior, but is actually causing the reality itself to be true.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I'll give you an example, right? If I point outside and say it's raining,
yes,
my statement has no impact whatsoever on whether it's raining.
Yes.
Right? There's no input. Whereas if we're at work and I say, man, I do not have confidence in the boss right now.
Yeah,
that
totally.
has causal impact on whether people have confidence in the boss and whether they succeed.
I feel like that's why Canada's fucked.
It's going right for it. No warm up. No warm up whatsoever.
Well, I mean, the reason why I'm saying that, I really do think that this is like this concept of reflexivity. Mm-hmm. I just don't mean it just in terms of Canada. I just mean, but I mean, I think this. How real do you think this is? This idea that I think you think it's really real. That's my hypothesis.
Oh, it's totally real.
How real do you think the idea is that if you believe in a certain set of things, or if you have a certain kind of mental architecture, a certain kind of way of viewing the world, that the world actually becomes that in some way?
So first of all, the person who actually wrote this down and made the best articulation of the concept is George Soros.
George Soros. That name sounds familiar.
That's right. He runs all the protests. He's the guy paying for all the protests.
Yeah.
That's him. So in general, let me give you a couple other examples, right?
Well,
in some other
who
fields.
Is this guy? He's a Hungarian-American investor and philanthropist. As of May 2025, he has a net worth of US $7.2 billion, having donating, that's what you were saying, more than $32 billion to the Open Society. So who is this guy? Like,
who is George Soros? He made his career as a financier, right? He was a macro trader. Do you know what people mean when they say like a macro trader?
No.
If you look at all the investors, you can kind of categorize them around, do they have to be right most of the time, or do they only have to be right every once in a while? Right. Macro investors, I think, these are people who are not trading based on, I think this company's good, so I'm going to buy their stock and hold it for a long time. These guys are trading more on like, well, I think this interest rate is going to change and it's going to cause this change in currency rates, and then that's going to make these bonds go down or something. It's big systems thinking, right? And like macro traders within the set of traders are the guys that have like every once in a while they get like the biggest swinging dick trades and are like gods among men, and then the other 95% of the time they just lose money constantly.
Damn, interesting.
So that's the main sort of macro trader in the meta right now is Scott Bessent, right, the U.S. Treasury Secretary.
Really,
he is a classic kind of macro trader guy, and everybody holds him in very high regard. I think he's somebody that both before and during is sort of one of these people.
Yeah, he's an American government. Scott Kenneth Homer Bessent is an American government official, real estate investor, a former hedge fund manager, serving since 2025 as the 79th United States Secretary of the Treasury.
So he worked for Soros. He trained with Soros and Stan Druckenmiller and those guys.
So let me say this macro trading thing back to you to make sure I understand. So it's macro trading is basically like you're not necessarily looking at the fundamentals of a company, but you're making broader system level abstractions.
That's right.
And drawing like and betting on patterns and correlations.
This is probably a good time to say, by the way, that like not only am I not a macro trader, but also that for anybody watching the stream, I'm here as a personal capacity and in no way represent Andreesen Horowitz, my employer.
Good idea.
The following is absolutely not investment advice. If you trade on this, you're a fucking idiot. So don't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
back
what
to
is
Scott Bessent.
So that is a valid description of macro trading.
That's my description of macro trading. I think look, in general, you say. If you were to imagine two ways you can look at trading, you say like one is here's an asset, it has a price. On any given day, the market is either paying you too much or not enough, right? This is Warren Buffett style, right? Warren Buffett was really the OG of this. His way of describing it was The thing as an investor is that every day you go into business with this guy named Mr. Market.
Yeah.
And the thing about Mr. Market is that he is bipolar, right? Some of the days he's willing to pay you way too much for the thing you have.
Yes.
On other days, he wants to sell you what he has for way too cheap.
Yes.
The hard part is just figuring out which days are which.
Totally.
And it's hard.
And that's based on that book, that canonical text. What's it called again?
So like Graham and Dodd.
Yes, Graham.
That's where
Mr. Market. Yeah, you can look it up. It's like this iconic book. I don't know why I can't remember it right now. Mr. Market.
Pull the book out. It's
No, it's not there. It's no. If you look at Mr. Yeah, right here, Intelligent Investor.
Ben Graham. Thank you.
Sorry. So that's where the concept of Mr. Market came from, right?
I think it was either Buffett or Charlie Munger, his partner, came up with that name.
Right.
But in general, that idea, which is like, hey, like here's a security, you pay some price for it, and that price is either too low or too high,
right,
based on the fundamental value of the thing, right? This thing will produce cash in the future, and like you can be too high or too low, so buy based on that. Macro investors are like, that's nice, but like that doesn't really matter today. What matters today is, where is money flowing? In what direction, right? Is it going in or is it going out? Is everybody waking up today and saying, risk on, everybody? There's lots of money around. There's lots of liquidity in the system. You can buy it. Like, do you know what I mean by liquidity?
Liquidity is like the ability to turn something into, the rate at which you can turn something into cash.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's like, if you have something right now, and I'm like, you need to sell this today. Yeah. How many cents on the dollar can you get for that thing?
Totally.
If you have S&P 500, you can get 100 cents on the dollar based on what it's worth. If it's a house, I don't know, 90, 95, like houses are still pretty liquid, all things considered.
Yeah.
Do you own a piece of some weird business that like you have to go find a buyer for? Maybe it's 50 cents, right? There's less liquid, right? So on any given day, macro investors will think a lot about things like, hey, like overall in the big world financial system, is there like liquidity coming in or is there liquidity coming out? Like what's the rate of change of this in the world? Where, like in what direction is money flowing around the world? And like they think about things a lot, like for example, why is it that the US is able to successfully attract so much capital inflow over the past 30 years? And there are a bunch of reasons for this.
Why?
So main reason, I mean, there are a few reasons for this, and this is, kind of my interpretation of this, but you say, all right, in general, you have the United States has the deepest and most liquid bond market in the world, and the world's, biggest and most important stock market and things like this. And for any given saver in Germany, let's say you're a German saver.
What's a saver?
Somebody who has money and I have it saved and I want to invest it in something.
Okay, cool.
As opposed to a borrower.
Okay, cool.
Right?
Yeah.
You have savers and borrowers, right? Cool. Savers have money, they need to find the borrowers. Borrowers take the money and they put it to work.
Sure.
If you are, Mr. Schmidt in Germany in 2011 or something like that, these dates might not be great because that was right around the Euro financial crisis. But anyway, whatever. If you're like, hey, like if you're Mr. Guy in Germany, Mr. Family with some savings, and you're like, what am I going to do with this money? I need to look around and find somewhere that I can invest it productively. Are you looking in Germany or are you looking in the United States?
The United States.
You're probably looking in the United States, right? And the reason why is because the United States has done a really good job over the past 100 years of saying, look, we have the following things going for us. There's very stable rule of law and a lot of precedent around you being protected. Your property rights as an investor are going to be respected, whatever. Things are not going to be seized or taken from you the way they might in, a Russia or a China or a situation like that. Right? So those other countries are going to trade at a discount because you're like, I don't know, I might get rugged. United States, you're probably not going to get rugged in that sense. Yeah. Right? People are pretty confident in this. The second is that the United States has this economy that's able to put a lot of this stuff to work, right? We're building a lot of stuff. It's where NVIDIA is. It's where all these companies are. If you go look at like where are you going to put all this money to work to actually get good rates of return? It's like these days you're basically looking at two countries, right? And the United States is one of them. Yeah. And so if you're in Germany, you're like, okay, I'm probably going to not put my money into the German DAX exchange or into German like savings instruments or whatever. You're like, I'm going to put my money in the S&P 500. Right. And so what happens is the rest of the world is a lot bigger than the United States is, right? There's a lot of money in the rest of the world who's like, you know what? The preferential place where I would like to put my savings is in the United States. And a lot of people do this, and the United States welcomes it. They make it very, very easy for you to do this. And so you have all of this money kind of flowing in, right, to the US. And over decades, right, that actually makes a really big difference, getting back to this idea of reflexivity, right? Because if everybody is like, I'm pretty sure the United States is just where I should put my money, what happens is, this makes the prices of stuff go up, money goes in, but then American companies put that money to work and they build new shit and they make new companies and stuff like that. And it becomes a self-creating reality in a sense. Now we're at this point where it's like maybe that self-creating reality has actually wound itself up too much and maybe it's going to go down, but like hasn't happened yet. There's this big open question right now, which is like, is Mr. Schmidt in Germany going to stop doing this after, Trump goes and says, hey, Germany, you have to pay for your own defense now and screw you and all these things. There was this big narrative 6 months ago that it was like, oh my God, all the foreign investment in the US is going to stop, right? They're going to put it into their own stuff now because A, they hate the US because they've decided that now. And two, because, all these countries are going to have to build their own militaries again, and they're going to have to do all this domestic spending. So there's going to be attractive opportunity for those savers to find local investments that'll generate return. Therefore, the accusation was, therefore, for this and a bunch of other reasons, all this foreign flow into the U.S. is going to slow down or possibly reverse.
Which is another narrative.
It's another narrative, exactly, and it can be a self-fulfilling narrative, right? Hasn't really happened yet, we think. I'm not the person to ask us about whether this is true or not, but that would be an example of like a self-creating reality that can go into reverse when things change.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's totally weird. Everything interesting in the world has this property, I think.
What is that property?
This property of reflexivity, right?
Reflexivity.
Where it's like everything interesting is going to be wound up in some direction where it is, where the perception is actually the thing that you act and operate and comment on. I'll give you another example that I really like. This is a good one. So finance is very reflexive. Another area that's very reflexive is law.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example.
You would think that's the opposite of reflexive, no?
Not always. Sometimes it's not reflexive, but I'll give you an example, which is consumer protection law.
Okay.
So let's say that you are some well-intentioned regulator and you're like, hey, I don't think you should be being tracked on the internet.
Right.
We're going to pass a law that says that if I put a browser cookie on your device that tracks what you're doing, you should have to get explicit consent, from the person, unless it is an essential part of the website.
Yes.
This is not very far from what a lot of places actually do.
Yes.
Right. So instead of saying explicitly California or Europe, whatever, just say generic rule that says, unless it is essential use, you have to get active opt-in from the person.
Yeah.
So here's your question, right? Which is, what constitutes essential use? Right? How do you define what the user thinks the product is? And I'll give you an example. So let's say I have a little e-commerce website and you can add products to your cart and you can check them out. But also, let's say that you actually walk away from the computer and you want to come back in 3 days and your cart is still full of the stuff you put in there. Is that tracking?
No.
Well, I would say maybe, right? I would say it's like, here's the thing. So I would say, like, first of all, imagine you have a setup where the person building the website is of one of two minds. You say, well, if I think that save a cart for later is like not part of the essential function of the website, it's an add-on feature, it's a bonus thing, but it's not essential. If I have to get explicit permission from people to have a cookie to save your thing, not that many people are going to do it, right? So therefore, they're never going to add products to their cart and save them for later. And therefore, it's clearly not essential, right? It is circularly demonstrated that nobody was doing this behavior, therefore it clearly wasn't essential. But on the other hand, if you argue, this is an essential feature of my product, right? Save a thing for later as like a wish list or something like that is actually why people go to my website. And therefore, I'm not going to ask their permission to do this. It's just the essential thing they're coming for. And if I can show evidence that lots of people are actually coming back to their abandoned carts and checking out later, then you could, if you had to go in front of a judge or something, say like, this is the essential use of the product.
Yes.
I didn't have to ask permission because look, people are doing it.
Yes.
Look at my evidence.
Yes.
See how these are both self-creating realities?
Yeah, it's so weird.
In the first case, you could have somebody who's very conservative and say, well, people aren't doing this by default, therefore we have to ask their permission, therefore nobody does it, so because self-fulfilling. On the other hand, if you say, well, everybody's doing this, therefore I don't have to ask permission, therefore everybody does it, that's also self-creating.
The reason why I find it very weird is because when you walk around the world day to day, when you're looking at a website or when you're looking at the way, like money being spent, some building being made, some company getting funding, all of these things feel very real. Mm-hmm. And then to the idea of like reverse engineering that and realizing that it just basically is a thought. Mm-hmm. It's just like a theory. It's a bunch of thoughts that gain momentum.
Yes. That
were adopted by a bunch of human beings. And then it's hard to internalize that. It's like very, very difficult to step back and look at that from a meta perspective. Like, cause if that's super fucked up.
What's cool though, is again, I think
It is cool.
You can measure, I think, the progress of a society in terms of their ability to actually durably create these kinds of things in ways that produce real value for people.
Like things, like thoughts,
No, or
information,
things like the
ideas,
laws, capital markets,
yes.
right? The ability to organize ourselves in ways that are predictable and also useful.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas again, you're not organizing yourself around some physical law of nature.
Yeah.
You're organizing yourself around a shared understanding of here's how we're going to do it.
Have you figured out what that is? Like what a shared understanding is or what a narrative is? Like you're basically saying, like, if you think about what this reflexivity,
yep.
You're basically saying that, hey, a lot of what you see around you and a lot of the reasons why people do things is because of what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And when the way people think changes,
mm-hmm.
the world changes.
Yes.
So have you, and a lot of your writing, I think, from my perception of it, deals with this kind of like tension. Mm-hmm. What have you learned about that? What have you learned about like the way humans think?
Yeah. So first of all, I think a direct answer to your question is that this is what leadership is.
Okay. So what is
leadership is getting people to think about themselves in a new way.
Interesting.
Right. That's the highest leverage thing you can do.
Huh.
Right. Is you have somebody and they have all this inertia in terms of how they think about themselves and their place in the world and the way that everything is. And if you get people to think of themselves in a slightly different way, that can become self-creating.
Yeah.
Right. You can unlock all kinds of interesting behavior out of people by getting them, and you do this. You can challenge them. You can inspire them. You can be a bad cop. You can be a good cop. However you do it.
Yeah.
Right. If you get people to think about themselves in a new way, then you can actually get a lot of follow-on leverage on this type of thing. I'll give you an example of this. You mentioned Canada a second ago, which is like, you look at what's going on with like the Major Projects Office.
Yeah. What's the Major Projects Office?
This is the thing that Carney's doing where they're saying, hey, for big infrastructure builds that are of national importance, we're going to fast track the approval process and have there be one office you can go to that will get you a yes or no answer.
Okay.
Right. So the big idea here is
that sounds great.
Yeah, it is. I think it is great. I think you had all these builders and investor types who said, hey, the problem with trying to build a new anything, a new LNG plant, a new
LNG,
liquid natural gas.
Yeah. Oh yes.
A new mine, a new something is that I have 10 different approvals bodies I need to get to, and they don't talk to each other, and this sucks. Therefore, it's too hard to do.
Yeah.
Government said, you're absolutely right. There's going to be, for certain projects that we decide are of national interest, we're going to have one project office whose job is to coordinate this for you, and they give you a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
Based in Calgary, it's run by this woman who knows what she's doing. Great idea, right?
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, you're like, they're doing this for a definable number of projects at a time, right? It's not like this on its own is going to directly shape too much of the whole economy and everything. But on the other hand, it's like saying we're a country that's going to do big projects and we're going to try to do them quickly and do that. It's like that changes how you think about what the country is in a little bit, right? It gets people thinking of the mindset of like, hey, maybe we are a country that can build big things.
Yes.
As opposed to this mindset of like, oh God, we're a country that can't do shit.
Yeah.
The more that you can actually push people's mindsets towards we can do things, you just have to do them. That's how you make progress.
Totally.
Right? It's not just by literally approving the projects. It's by getting people to think a bit more ambitiously about what they're doing. So in that respect, I think it's a success so far.
Is it hard to get people to think differently?
Yes, it's very hard.
Why?
It's hard unless they can see other people starting to think that thing at the same time. Right. If you can get, so there's a really, really good book. It's called Crowds and Power by this guy, Elias Canetti. He won the Nobel for it.
He did?
Yeah. In the
Crowds and Power.
Crowds and Power. That's the one.
Oh, I've heard of this book. I think I have this book.
It's a great book.
I think I just got it. I think I might have just got it.
This is a great book. I recommend this book to a lot of people who are thinking about, hey, like, why do things suddenly seem to change very quickly when they've done nothing for a long time?
So it says, although wide-ranging, whatever, let's see, on asking questions, on the questioner, the effect is a feeling of enhanced power. What is this? Oh, it's here.
The effect of being enhanced power. Enjoys this. More questions. Every answer you see is NASA submission.
It says the book is dealing with the dynamics of crowds and packs and the question of how and why crowds obey power of rules.
Right. So the basic
Ruling
idea of this
paranoia.
book is like people can. Oh man, there you go. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
That's the book.
Show this.
Let's
see.
It's a fantastic book. The idea of this book is, you know what? We got some time. The first page of this book is one of my favorite first pages of any book. I'm going to read it.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. It's be a minute or something. This is good.
I feel like that's a big statement from you.
Okay.
Favorite first page. You write, right?
I do. This is good writing. The first page, the first chapter is called "The Fear of Being Touched." There is nothing that man fears more than the touch of the unknown. He wants to see what is reaching towards him and to be able to recognize or at least classify it. Man always tends to avoid physical contact with anything strange. In the dark, the fear of an unexpected touch can mount to panic. Even clothes give insufficient security. It's easy to tear them and pierce through to the naked, smooth, defenseless flesh of the victim. All the distances which men create around themselves are dictated by this fear. They shut themselves in houses which no one may enter, and only there feel some measure of security. The fear of burglars is not only the fear of being robbed, but also the fear of a sudden and unexpected clutch out of the darkness. The repugnance to being touched remains with us when we go out among people. The way we move in a busy street, in restaurants, trains, and buses is governed by it. Even when we are standing next to them and are able to watch and examine them closely, we avoid actual contact if we can. If we do not avoid it, it is because we feel attracted to someone, and then it is we who make the approach. The promptness for which apology is offered for an unintentional contact, the tension with which it is awaited, our violent and sometimes even physical reaction when it is not forthcoming, the antipathy and hatred we feel for the offender, even when we cannot be certain who it is, the whole knot of shifting and intensely sensitive reactions to an alien touch, proves we are dealing here with a human propensity as deep-seated as it is alert and insidious, something which never leaves a man when he has once established the boundaries of his personality. Even in sleep, when he is far more unguarded, he can all too easily be disturbed by a touch. It is only in a crowd that man can become free of this fear of being touched. That is the only situation in which the fear changes into its opposite. The crowd he needs is the dense crowd in which body is pressed to body. A crowd, too, whose physical constitution is also dense or compact, so that he no longer notices who it is that presses against him. As soon as a man has surrendered himself to the crowd, he ceases to fear its touch.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
So what this book is about the very sudden flip between individuals versus crowds.
Wow.
An individual is somebody who fundamentally is like a magnet repelling another magnet.
Yeah.
Right? And you can imagine where it's like as you get pressed closer, at some point, a group of individuals flips into being a crowd.
Yeah.
And then everything about their character changes.
Yeah.
They want to become more pressed up against each other as opposed to less. So this is how mob mentality forms.
Totally.
Right? This is how a group of individuals suddenly become a scene or become a mob or become, hey, we're all dragging this guy on Twitter today.
Yeah, totally.
Or whatever. There's a flip that switches.
It's that was a really good piece of writing.
Yeah. So what the book is about is saying power is the ability of individuals to control the assembly and disassembly of crowds.
Right.
If you are an individual person and you can get a group of individuals to become a crowd, they owe their situation in the crowd to you, and you can control them, right? Because once you're in the crowd, you don't want to turn back into a bunch of individuals because that's a stampede.
Right.
Right. If a crowd dissolves too quickly, people panic.
Yes.
Right. And panic is bad, and people want to avoid panic. Right. And if you are an experienced crowd controller, right, what you can do is you can actually direct crowds in directions, right, based on shared goals and ideas, and so it gets into all these things.
Is there any other species that operates like this?
That's a great question. I don't know, because other animals certainly herd.
Yeah.
Right. There's lots of herding in animals. There's lots of that kind of behavior. I don't know. That's a great question.
What is the largest documented crowd of humans? Like, what is the largest? What like at what time in human history has been the largest human crowd around a shared purpose? 30 to 50 million people during the funeral of C.N. Annadurai in Chennai, India. I knew it would be India. Who is this guy?
Built different.
Annadurai, it was the chief minister of the Tamil Nadu, and his funeral procession stretched for 15 kilometers.
I like how Rod Stewart's 1994 concert in Rio is somehow in this list. Rod Stewart.
3.5 million.
That's a
Pope
big
John
crowd.
Paul, 4.5 million. Al-Bahrain pilgrimage in Karbala, Iraq, 20 to 30 million annually in recent years.
Yeah, so you have pilgrimages. You can have those kinds of assemblies.
So one of those was religion, one of them was music, and the other and this is find out why this guy attracted you, because he's not like a prime minister. Oh, he's a chief minister, so he was.
Yeah.
So find out. Let's look at the history of this guy a little bit, because it's interesting. Like, if power is the ability to assemble and dissemble a crowd, then I wonder what are the characteristics of these individuals that have the capacity to do that. He was well known for his oratorical skills and was an acclaimed writer in the Tamil language. He scripted and acted in several plays. Oh, okay. So he was like an actor too.
He's the Reagan of India in the 60s.
Yeah. Oh, because Reagan was an actor as well, right? Yeah.
Wow.
Some of his plays were later made into movies. He was the first politician from the Dravidian parties to use Tamil cinema extensively for political propaganda. Born in a middle-class family, he first worked as a school teacher and then moved into the political scene of Madras presidency as a journalist. That's crazy because he's just like learning storytelling from like every possible path. He's got like, he's a teacher, he's a filmmaker, he's a journalist, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is a fantastic example. Yeah.
So you're a bit, okay, so what was the other guy? So we got him, and then we've got Pope, which is religion.
John Paul, yep.
And then we've got Rod Stewart, which is music.
These are great. Let me give one other example that maybe GPT wouldn't have come up with, but like I think you can argue that armies are a kind of crowd,
right?
Even if they're not literally in the same place all the time,
Yeah.
you could say that like World War II was a big crowd situation,
right?
Or something like that. Like that would have been millions of people.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
War is interesting too, because in that situation, you're getting a crowd of people that are essentially willing to die.
Yeah.
For a particular like narrative.
I mean, this is how armies have always worked, right? Which is, how is the officer corps able to assemble and shape the reality around a bunch of enlisted men, such that they enter that crowd state and then are willing to run into battle, right? It's a hard thing to do.
It's kind of a weird thing, but like I think about like dogs a lot and like how they're so nice, and like at some point there were like dogs that were mean, or I mean they're like wild animals, right? But now they're like so nice. Like it's crazy. They like greet you. They're so happy to see you and all this kind of stuff. And I wonder like, and maybe this is not the right example, but I mean like the dogs that exist now are the ones that were most compatible with humans.
Yeah.
Right. I just wonder if the humans that exist now were survived because they had some capacity to, they were more willing than any other human to believe in this unknown idea, this believe in that, we could get past this suffering, that we could get past this difficult life that we're in. We can innovate things. We can build things. We will survive. We will, A
couple of thoughts on that. I think on the face of it, this would seem to create evolutionary pressure that would apply more to women than men.
Like, what do you mean?
So you have, in the case of, this is more true a long time ago, but in the case of sexual selection, you would typically have a very, very small number of men would have all the children. Right. And so, whereas that's not true for women, right? It has to be much more evenly distributed. So in the case of men, right, it's like the actual genetic selection is probably going to be for the people who are the outliers, rather than the people who are going to be, let's fit in. Yeah. I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know. That would be my guess.
Yeah. If it's not that, then it's like, let's say it's not that, then there's some fundamental aspect of being human. That's just this idea that we, for some reason, right? Like it's odd that you would be willing to die for an idea.
Well, what's the Dostoevsky quote? It's a man is an animal that can get used to anything.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
That's
crazy.
On the dog's note, something I've observed is that this is probably more true of cats, actually, on the crowd thing, which is that if you take two cats and put them in a room together, they'll hate each other. Yeah. But a room of 20 cats is just 20 cats. They're chill.
Really?
Yeah, it flips at some point, right? Tons and tons of cats, they hang out. They're fine. But 2 or 3 cats that they often will like really fight each other.
Do you have a cat?
I have had cats in my life. So I'll tell you, I grew up with dogs. Just my family had dogs. And so I always thought of myself as a dog person, as you do, right? When you have dogs and you're like, oh, I'm a dog person. This is a big part of my identity. And then as a grown up, I had cats and then realized I'm a cat person. I'm not a dog person. Really? This is a really big period of self-discovery for me. But then I became allergic to my cat, which is too bad. God. So we currently don't have any animals.
Your cat. So you just threw it out the window?
No, this is my cat Rambo. I've had her since Rambo was my cat. Crazy. She's great. I had her for a long time, like since undergrad. She died maybe 3-4 years ago, but she was an outdoor. Oh, she had a great cat life. She was an outdoor cat, which means one of the great parts about outdoor cats is that when they're ready to go, they sort of slink off.
Slink off?
Yeah, they know it's their time, and they go hide under one of your neighbor's porches.
Really?
And they go die there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what she did, right? She was just like, it's my time, and then we never saw her again. She made her exit.
Why did you name her Rambo?
I didn't actually name her Rambo. So she was actually my ex-girlfriend's cat in undergrad. She named her Rambo. Her name when she got rescued at the SPCA was Peaches.
Yeah.
And I think she sort of took a look at her and was like, "You're not a Peaches.
You're
Rambo.
You're a Rambo?
That's a better name for you."
Seems like a cool chick.
She was great. She was a good cat.
Do you have you watched Rambo?
The film?
Yeah.
Not recently, but yes.
But you watched it?
Yeah.
There
we go.
So you're talking about leadership?
Is Rambo based on a true story?
Look at that image. The top row, 4th image.
Yep.
You're talking about leadership, man?
Get people to think of themselves in a new way.
You're talking about leadership? That's the Canadian Prime Minister I want.
This is he's
go to this Wikipedia page. Alex is like,
I
don't know if I want to.
How old is Sylvester Stallone? Is he? He's in his 60s now, right? 79. Yeah. So he could have been Trudeau's father. Maybe it wasn't Castro. Maybe it was Sylvester Stallone.
Wait, go to like the synopsis of Rambo.
I can see it.
Is this it?
Franchise.
Is that all that's written about this movie?
No. It's because there's the awkward spacing on Wikipedia because it's the table.
Oh, okay. Rambo is an American media franchise centered on a series of action films featuring John J. Rambo. The 5 films are First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo Last Blood. He plays Sylvester Stallone in the Vietnam War. The experience traumatized him, but also gave him superior military skills, which he has used to fight corrupt police officers, enemy troops, and drug cartels. It's an interesting story because it's basically this idea, at its core, it's this idea that all of the bad stuff that's happened to you actually gives you an advantage against all of this establishment. This idea that everything bad happened to you is actually going to allow you to rise above the system. But this is an interesting movie. I think Sylvester Stallone is an amazing actor and filmmaker. But actually, like, my favorite film of his by far is like Rocky.
Okay.
The first Rocky. Have you watched it?
Yeah.
It's a super, super interesting film. Do you know the backstory of this film?
I don't think so.
So go to Rocky. Actually, I bet you Claude can spit it out because it knows it's like and I can validate it. Be like, what's the origin backstory of Rocky? No, not OG origin.
Yeah.
Of making of Rocky. Story of making of Rocky. Backstory, I guess, whatever. So the interesting thing here with this film, if you've seen it, Rocky is a film about a boxer. He grew up in like Philadelphia, and he meets this guy, his trainer, Tommy. What's his name? Mickey. Yeah, Mickey. And then he gets his chance to fight. He's this boxer. He never really committed himself to training and stuff like that. Kind of gave up on himself. Never believed in himself. Thought he was just kind of like a low life. He was this guy that would like hustle people for money and stuff like that. But deep down, on some level, he believed he was a great boxer. And this coach Mickey was like, "You had all this talent. You wasted it. What did you do?" Yep. He's this guy in Philadelphia, and he goes and he gets a chance to fight Apollo Creed. This guy, this like big fighter. And Apollo Creed is like, I think he wanted to do it as like a marketing thing where he's like, we're going to give this guy in Philadelphia some nobody a chance. He's going to fight. It's a stunt, right? Yeah. And we're going to get a lot of people excited, and like, he's obviously not going to win. But for this guy, like it was a real chance. Here's a real chance for you to prove yourself. And the movie was really good, and they did some innovations on like Steadicam cinematography. I think he won the Academy Award after, and it was the backstory is interesting because like the producers didn't even know that they had casted Sylvester Stallone. They saw like a bunch of people walking in some other film. Sylvester Stallone was like one of them, and they thought it was some other lead because they're like, this guy can't act, but he wrote it, he directed it, and he acted in it. But what's crazy is the film itself is like a meta projection of like this situation that he was actually going through himself. And so like here, if you see, it's like the original Rocky came from Sylvester Stallone being broke, inspired, and desperate in 1975. Stallone was a struggling actor, nearly homeless, sleeping in a bus station at one point. He watched Muhammad Ali fight Chuck Wepner, a journeyman boxer who somehow went 15 rounds with the champ. That's the premise of the film. Wepner had no business being in the ring that long, but he stayed up through sheer heart. This sparked something in Stallone. He locked himself away and wrote the Rocky script in 3 days. Studios wanted to buy it, but only if they could cast a real star. Robert Redford, Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds. They offered Stallone $300,000. Substantial money then. Life-changing for him. He refused every offer. He insisted on playing Rocky himself. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Is there a current example of this that we can think of where there's somebody who's like, no, it has to be me?
It has to be me?
Yeah. No, I won't sell you the script. It has to be me. Not in films necessarily.
Yeah, just in general, you mean. This idea of betting on yourself. Oh, yeah, that was a great film too. Sound of Metal, Whiplash, The Wrestler.
Huh.
It's
Whiplash.
interesting. It's interesting even, so if you go up for a sec, this guy bets on himself. They shot it guerrilla style in Philadelphia. The famous running up the steps scene, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, they didn't have permits, just ran up with the camera mounted on a car. The meat punching scene was in a real freezer. Most extras were locals. The film cost $1.1 million and was shot in under a month. If you haven't seen this film, it's super, super, super good, man.
There's something about these movies that are shot in very short periods of time where this quality comes to them that you can't get if you take more time and have more budget.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with, like, well, this made $225 million and won Best Picture at the Oscars in 1977. So 2 years after it was written. The reason I find this interesting is because, you know, what you're talking about is the ways in which ideas and thoughts influence our kind of like behaviors, and that they influence the way the world works. And obviously people react to this. You could see it with this individual here. He, you know, was this guy who had a vision of a film, and he knew that in my interpretation is he just knew that he had to be the guy because I think something was beamed into his mind. You know, I think something was beamed into his mind, and it's interesting. Like, he's this homeless guy. You know, there are times where, like, let's say you're looking for a job or something, you need some cash, and you're like, okay, should I take this job or not? It's not exactly what I want to do,
right?
But you know, you got to pay rent or something like that. And you know, you're thinking, man, it's not the perfect job, but I should take it. Yep. You know, I've got responsibilities, I got a family or whatever. This guy's homeless. He's being offered $300,000 in 1975. I know, right? And there is something in the same way. You know, a narrative, like a set of ideas, you know, can make a crowd, you know, do things that they wouldn't do as individuals. There is sometimes something that happens to you where something just flashes into your mind. And it gives you like this crazy conviction. Yep. And you can do things that, you know, would not be possible. You don't even need the crowd anymore.
Well, there's stories that you hear a lot about people, you know, the classic story of like the mother lifts up a car to rescue her kid, right? Yeah. And it's like, how were you strong enough to lift the car, right? Yeah. You can't do that under normal circumstances, but people get this sort of these emergency powers for a short period of time that are fairly reproducible. Yeah. Right? Not reproducible is the wrong word. They're not reproducible because you can't reproduce it, but they happen, right? They happen more than chance. Yeah.
Another example, you were asking another example of someone who bet on himself. I guess it would be like Siddhartha and like Buddha, right? Yeah. Like the story of like Siddhartha is basically that he was, you can look this up too, but I think it's like he was like this prince. You know, he was the son of this king, and I guess he basically had everything in this like kingdom, and he started to get like bored or something. He started to find that the life he was living had no meaning, and he started wandering around to try and understand things. He would leave the castle, the temple or whatever, the castle, the palace. And, he started to notice like, oh, there's like homelessness. What is this? Why is that there? He started to ask all these questions. And then he started to he completely renounced this like life of like a prince. And he started to run essentially like experiments, living in different ways, living without food, living without money. It's really interesting.
There's this recurring tradition that you see in all kinds of different settings of leaving the palace.
Yeah.
Right. Where, as a parent or, in a school setting or whatever, you have all of these different kinds of rituals where it's, all right, it's time to leave the palace, right? You'll get to come back if you choose to, but also you have to consciously go on the journey out the gates, right? You see that a lot. And it does something important, right? It does something important, not just in terms of like what you see literally, but like to your mindset of you being ready to see it.
Right.
I think, right? It's like in order to see something, you have to be ready to see it.
Yes.
It's like, I don't know, like you can look, but that doesn't mean that you're seeing it, right? There has to be a change in you, the observer, where you're like, all right, I'm ready to actually understand, what I'm looking at here.
What is your process of observing things like that? Because like, it seems like, in like reading your writing, a lot of it seems to be like you wrote this piece, you wrote two pieces that I thought were like incredible pieces of observation that I've read. Yeah. And those two pieces were, yeah, for sure. One was, I won't get the exact name right, but one was about the magic of the relationships in Silicon Valley, the underlying dynamics of it that lead to why that place can function the way that they can function. And you basically, you kind of like had this really good way of synthesizing it within a gift. This idea that they had like a gift culture.
Sure.
I thought that was a really like interesting observation. But then the other piece that I thought was really interesting was on like the Canadian tech scene. Right.
That's the one I think people here will associate with me with more.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter necessarily. I'm just curious, like, why is it that you can like, how are you able to observe those like cultures so accurately like that? Like, what is the process? Is that something that you're like, are you like talking to your friends about it? Like, what is your process of making observations?
I'll give you a couple of hypotheses off the cuff. I'm not sure I know, right? I'm not sure you can know yourself that well, right? It's like you either can observe it or you can study yourself, but maybe not both. Like I'm not sure I could write down a how-to manual, but
for sure.
I think the one thing that is a bit different about me relative to most people is that in my career, I've always done this kind of back and forth thing between here and Silicon Valley.
Right.
And I've not been I was at Shopify for 5 years. So if you ignore those 5 years, I've been back and forth. And going back and forth between two places is a really interesting way to learn about both of them, right? Because you experience them in kind of stop motion and you're seeing, and yeah, there are a number of people who do this. I'm not the only person who flies back and forth between here and the Bay Area, but I find it is very helpful for understanding that place, right? Where it's like, I'll go there, I'll work for a couple of days, I'll come back and live here. And for the most part, be around people in my life, in my day-to-day life, who are not in tech at all, right? My wife is like the least online person I know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is wonderful, right? Yeah. It's great. We once, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
We were downtown once, we were gonna see a show at one of the Mirvish theaters and we had like a half an hour to kill and we were on King Street. And I said, do you wanna come up to my office, the Shopify office? And she said, grab a drink or something. And like, you want to see it? She was like, yeah, sure, I'll go see it. And I've been working there for 4 years at this point in time. And we walk around the office, and if you've ever been to the Shopify spaces, you can picture it. We're walking around. And at some point, she just says, you work for a tech company. It's like, it's the secret to a happy 10 years this month. That's the secret. So, I think having a kind of detachment and being around people who live a very different life from you can help in terms of your power of observation.
Yeah, for sure.
But the other thing is, I'll tell you something that a mental model that I use a lot, which is, there's this amazing book called The Master and His Emissary.
The master, no.
It's about left brain versus right brain stuff.
Interesting.
And to really, really compress the idea down into something that is, that deserves better treatment. But from what we understand about, how the brain divides up tasks differently between the left and right hemisphere is, just to really compress this.
Yeah.
If you can do this, right? We can artificially suppress one half of your brain working for short periods of time, which is incredibly cool, right? Because each half can do almost all of the tasks independently, more or less. Not some things. Like, for example, it's like the left side of your body controls your right side's motion and so forth. Like if you shut down the left side of your brain, you can't move your right arm, for example. Yeah. But like you can still do thinking, and you can generate ideas, and you can come up with what people like. In general, when your left brain is perceiving and running the show and trying things, you will perceive things as less alive than they actually are.
Really?
Whereas when your right brain is running the show, it will perceive things as more alive, relatively speaking.
So what does alive mean in this context?
So let's talk about like the Silicon Valley tech scene, right? How does it work, right? Your right brain will interpret this, or your left brain will interpret it in terms of very cut and dry mechanics. Here is how a term sheet works. Here is how this deal works. Here is how a startup will do all these things very mechanically. Whereas your right brain will think of it as like, oh, this is like, this scene is alive. It has all these properties of being alive. You can think of it like a living thing. You can think of it the way as an organism or whatever. And they're just very different ways of looking at it, right? Your right brain will appreciate all the emergent properties of things and will have no trouble at all just explaining it to itself as, oh, well, that's what an alive organism would do.
Totally.
Whereas your left brain doesn't have any time for that, right? Your left brain is like, no, I want to be literal and very tangible, and, don't give me any of this new age stuff, right? It's not literally alive. What are you talking about? How could a term sheet be alive? Whereas your right brain is like, of course a term sheet is alive.
Another thing I just want to say, maybe this wasn't like intentional or something like that, but I read that piece. Robbie, what's the name of it? I want to get it right. I mean, you probably know. I just want to...
Which one?
Let's throw it on the screen. The piece about gift culture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, innovation takes magic, and that magic is gift culture. Okay, so another thing I noticed, and this might not be a thing, but I just felt I read this and I thought, man, you're a nice guy.
It's kind of you.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. I read this and I thought, well, what a nice guy. Because you were basically, in my opinion, you're basically using the aesthetics of like intelligent reasoning, thinking in business to like tell people to be nice to each other or to like bet on each other. Mm-hmm. I just thought like, that's crazy. Like I read this and I was like, that's crazy.
Oh, I think the highest compression idea that I can offer anybody for being good at anything is be really generous.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the secret. Just be really generous.
So there's obviously a lot of depth here.
So there's a really profound line, which is not mine, but that I really like is, so some people back in the day are storing up grain for the winter, for the cold season. And one man asks the other guy, it's like, well, why don't you have anything stored? Like, where have you stored your grain? He says, oh, I store my grain in the belly of my brother.
Wow.
Right.
So what does that mean?
Well, what it means is this idea, which is that like,
Let's say it again. Say it from the top.
I store my grain in the belly of my brother.
I store my grain in the belly of the brother. And he's being asked, where do you store your grain?
Where are you saving for another day? And he's saying, well, like, where do you think our ability to feed ourselves even comes from, right? It comes from us all doing something all the time.
I see.
Right. I mean, it's like...
He's betting on he's saying, as long as I have my brother, I don't need to worry about...
Well, it's saying like, if I'm going to feed you now, it's like, I will be fed later, right? From my brother, right? My brother will feed me as I fed him, right? That's a kind of storage.
Totally.
Right? It's not literal storage, but it's actually the realist kind of storage, if you think about what actually matters. Another way you can think about this is like, let's say that you have some disposable income and you want to turn it into wealth that will last a long time. There are two ways you could do this. One way is you could take the money and you could turn it into gold. Another way is you could take the money and you could turn it into champagne with your friends toasting one of their wins.
Totally.
That's a different way of storing wealth. It gives you a different kind of wealth, right? It gives you a kind of like, hey, like we will continuously do this for each other, right? That's it's like, there's some way where you're like, how can champagne be a durable form of wealth? It's the most undurable thing there is, right? But it's a different kind of durable.
That was the second thing that I conclusion I came to, or hypothesis I came to about you after reading your writing was that you either have a really good set of friends, or you had a formative point in your life where some point in your life you start to value friendship, theory, or something like that, or there's some kinds of values or something that you really think is important to protect. Because I was like, I read this piece specifically, and I'm like, this guy like literally just wrote this piece. This is not easy to write. I wouldn't be able to write it. It takes a lot of like deep understanding of startup culture, technology culture, business culture, human psychology, being able to take complex ideas and make them easier to understand for people. There's like writing structure here. You have to like prune each sentence, making sure it goes. There's like the order in which you do things. It's got to be accessible. You need to be able to take people through the way that you view the world, through a series of ideas. And then the whole point of it is essentially some version of be generous, be nice, just take a leap of faith on others. Everything's going to be okay. And I was just like, this is a lot of work to say that. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work to say that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I saw it and I was like, you value the, like you for some reason, you believe in the power of the ways in which ideas are organized. And you think it's important to use that power effectively. We can call it storytelling. We can call it writing. You can call it information. You can call it mental architecture, mental scaffolding, whatever it is. The way ideas are organized, you think it's important, and you think it's important to use this ability for the right reasons. Was that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are in some level defined by what they give away without being asked. And I think you're somebody who gives something away, like to us and to Toronto and to everybody in New and
Thanks.
everybody around us in a way that is also, I think I really admire, right? It's like, I think people whose at rest behavior is wanting to find something that they can give away, right? Or people that I'm interested in hanging out with.
Yeah, same, man.
I think that's a really, really good tell for, am I going to like this person and should I spend my time with them?
Yeah.
To take you through like the very basics of the idea of the post, by the way, just for the audience, it's like, hey, everything good in the world, right? Whether you're talking startups or any other kind of valuable thing that we make a society, fundamentally comes down to, can you get a group of people to self-organize in a particular way? Right? Can you get a group of people to become a crowd in the right way, right? A very well-organized, purposeful, mission-driven kind of thing. You got to get a group of people to become and assemble into something. For that to happen, the rate limiting step on this is almost always people receiving the right information, right? Hey, like somebody can suggest, I think we ought to do this, but 9 times out of 10, communication isn't what I say, it's what you hear, right?
Yes.
Did you hear what I said is actually the rate limiting step.
Yes.
And the fundamental thesis of this piece is that something that we have known since the very beginning of humanity is that if you want somebody to receive information, a great way to do it is by giving gifts.
Totally.
A gift opens the receiver to being receptive to something, to an idea, to a message, to a new community, to anything. This is why we just almost unconsciously will commemorate closing a deal over a dinner, right? Or when you are having a housewarming party, it's just the most natural thing in the world for me to gift you the party and then for you to gift me the housewarming gift.
Yes.
Right? Gifts are how we cross thresholds, right? And it's like there's a huge culture of course, every culture that I've ever heard of you give a gift to a company helping you cross a threshold, whether it's becoming an adult, death, marriage, the birth of your kid, any of these things, they all have gifts associated with them. And this is beautiful. It's very important because when you cross one of these, let's take becoming a parent as a great example.
Yeah.
So I have 3 kids. I remember when we became parents, it's very scary. It's a very stressful thing because you have to completely change the way that you think of yourself.
Yes.
When you go through one of these transformations, the most valuable thing that you can receive is understanding how much support there is from other people who have done this before and who are with you and things like that.
It means a lot at that time, man.
It means a lot at the time. It means a lot afterwards. And you're not necessarily receptive to that message. No. People sometimes will close themselves off to the fact that there is help. All the time, people do this, right?
Especially in difficult times.
Especially in difficult times. And a lot of the really important rituals that we have are around structuring a series of gifts and words and rituals to make the person who needs the help receive the help.
Wow. That's crazy, man.
I'll give you another really important example, actually, which is marriage. Right? So in a wedding, this is something that actually I'm going to get on my soapbox for a second. Here's something that drives me a little nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
There's this trend these days of people who, when they get married and they want to choose an officiant, is they get one of their friends.
Yeah.
They say, I'm going to get one of my friends, somebody who's known us for a long time, one of our peers, to marry us, right? To say the words and do the thing. And it's like, I understand why you want to include your friend who knows you, but you're kind of missing the point of what's going on here.
Right.
Right? It's like, what is a wedding? Why do you do this big thing? It's like the reason why you do a wedding is you say, all right, everybody, we're starting this period of time together as a couple that is going to be hard. You're trying to do something hard, which is build a life and a family and everything, build a marriage together, and it will be difficult in the future. And what a wedding is everybody gets together and they witness you say, when we need help, we're going to ask for the help, but we promise to give you the help, right? Because as we did before and as other people will do after us, we're going to, we're here to help you. This is why you say all these words. I mean, I know the Christian wedding tradition more than others, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, they're all various versions of this. This is why everybody gets together, right? Is so you can say, hey, there's going to be help for you. And in the sequence of the wedding ritual, you're basically saying, like, we will ask for the help, we promise, right? And then other people are saying, yeah, we're going to do it. And the reason why I think it really matters that the person who's marrying you is not one of your peers, but it's somebody from without, right? This could be somebody older, it could be the priest, it could be just somebody from the external, is because you saying, hey, like, we are not enough here, but there is so much help, right? There's so much help for you if you just ask for it. And the whole point of the gifts and the rites and the rituals is opening you to receive the help.
Yes.
And when you do, you'll find that there's just an infinite amount of help, right? It's one of the great things, right? Is that if you look for it, it's there. But it's very like the teacher appears when the student is ready.
Totally.
Right? The help appears when the person who needs the help is ready.
There's been moments in my life where it's been like really tough, and I've been like high strung, super like maybe like fucked up situations, and there'll be like some moment where someone finds a way to break through, whether it's like my mom or dad or a friend. They break through and they just find some way. Maybe they were trying to communicate the whole time, but it's in one moment, maybe it's in a car, we're sitting there late night, I'm telling them the story, and it just clicks, and I realize, and what they were saying the whole time was like, hey, I got your back.
Yep.
And when that happens, I've broken down sometimes. You know, when I realize that, it's just fascinating that information transfer both has it's kind of obvious, but it's just interesting to think of the depth of that information transfer requires both a sender and a receiver,
And mostly the receiver.
Yeah.
The line is like, communication isn't what you say, it's what they hear.
Yeah.
Right. It's like fundamentally, it's the receipt of information is more often than not the rate limiting step.
Do you think like our current culture is one that is like that is a culture that can receive information effectively? I think, because I think there are some shifts happening here. We've disregarded a lot of things, and we're moving into a world that seems like it's going to be difficult in a lot of new ways. Right?
I think you're instinctively right on the notion that people have gotten less good at receiving.
Yeah.
I think that is right in a profound sense, which is like, we're definitely getting worse at something.
Yeah.
Right? What is that thing? And it's not that we're getting worse at talking necessarily.
No, we're not
We
getting
have a
worse.
lot of technology that's made us very good at talking, right? Very good at sending information around the world very, very quickly, right? Podcasting technology is like, this is why you got that joke, which is like, I am supportive of 100% tariffs on podcasting mics.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
That was
I
good.
forget who said that, but it's like, actually, it's not just receiving though. It's also like, I'll give you an example, which is that 100 years ago when people communicated, they wrote letters. Right. And letter writing is this interesting constraint, which is, so it's very common for people that would write letters every day, right? Their correspondence would be a letter every day, much like you might text with somebody every day. Like, that's not weird. That's strange. But when you're writing a letter, it kind of forces you to say, all right, like, I'm writing this in one shot and I have to synthesize it into something. And then there's going to be a gap of like 1 day or something, or 2 days before you get the letter. And then you're going to read it all in one shot. So I have to do some work to kind of think about what I'm saying.
Totally.
Synthesize all that. And you might not usually do this in a text, right? Or in something else. You're
just
probably not doing
firing
that.
off text, not even thinking about what I'm saying, then trying to undo the send. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think so, like in workplace cultures, actually. So there's a big the transition from email to Slack as the dominant way that workplaces communicate. I think has had a lot of that. Whereas you have old cultures, you have email cultures. Microsoft famously was a very written email culture where Bill Gates ran the whole company on 5-paragraph emails.
Really?
Right? That was how everybody communicated. It was like you would get
Can you find an example of one of his emails?
Sure. Let's go find some famous Bill Gates emails.
Yeah. So he would write these.
He would read those emails coming in, and then he would think about them, and then he would write the emails out. Right. And everybody else would do the same thing. Right. The leadership would kind of came down from the top. And then if you think about like how a company running on Slack will work differently, it's like, people will synthesize information very differently, right? When it's coming in these streams and when it's a spoken culture. Shopify is a good example of this. Shopify is a very spoken culture kind of place, and that has its benefits and its costs, right? It's not good or bad, it just is.
Like with their town halls and with their internal podcasts and things like this.
It's less so those.
I was there too.
Yeah, it's less so those, and it's more like fundamentally, like what actually matters is like who had a conversation with Toby about this, as opposed to what was written down that was agreed upon or whatever, right? It's the ultimate source of truth is not some sort of formally produced written document, right? That's never actually the source of truth on anything. The source of truth is like what conversation happened with Toby or whoever it is, not necessarily just Toby, but like it usually is. So the downsides of this is that on a day-to-day basis, right, it is significantly harder for people to actually coordinate, right? Because it's not so documented. It's not like people can be in this state of fuzziness about like where things are going, and information is very balkanized. The plus side of it is that when the situation changes, you can pivot very quickly. Very, very quickly. And that's the thing that company is very good at, right? Which is like when the facts change, they can steer the boat way, way, way faster than they otherwise could. Right, because you can very quickly figure out what people you have to trust, and you can figure out where we're going now, and it's easier to roll with changes, and that's really important. I think it comes at a cost, right? Which is the cost is that on a day-to-day basis, it like kind of drives you insane. Yeah. But that's a choice. Right? It's a choice that the company makes to operate that way, and like that's why they work.
Totally. So, I think it's also interesting to think about like what fundamental information or what underlying foundational information is that pivoting happening on top of. So like, I think you can have like fast moving information and you can have quick changing information. But I think on some level that can only work if there's like some agreed upon shared understanding underneath it. You can't have like the whole stack of information on every level being this fast moving information, because if there's not like a basic level of agreement that we have, like if you're saying like, hey, it doesn't even matter if you're a decent person and you could just walk around punching people in the face, right? Like, you know what I mean? So there's some information that can be like slower moving and some information that can be like faster moving.
Yeah. I think that the way so Toby and other people have talked about this in a way that I think is very right, which is fundamentally the quantity that you care about here is this thing called legitimacy. Right. Like who or what has legitimacy in situations where it's not clear or there's conflict between different things. Right. And in general, right, you can imagine sort of two types of companies. One type of company where it's like the legitimacy is in something called the plan. Right. It's like every year, everybody gets together and they figure out what the plan is, and then you write it all down into the annual plan, and the board approves the plan. And from that point forward, the plan is the thing that has the central legitimacy, not the people who wrote it. Yes. Right. From that point forward, it's like if a person says, wait a minute, it's like I was wrong about this. It's like, too bad. Right. We've all agreed on this. The plan has legitimacy. That's probably going to win most of the time. The advantages to this is that it's much easier to coordinate around this, right? Yes. Because everybody has a shared source of truth. Everybody can go on the thing. The other way that you could do it is to be like, no, the legitimacy is actually in people, not the plan. Right. And Shopify is more like this, right? And I think a lot of startups are more like this, where you say like, no, the legitimacy is actually in the founder and in specific people, right? In whom the trust is placed. And they have contributed to the plan, and like, you go on that. But like, if that person says, never mind, we're changing our minds, we're actually going to do A instead of B, everybody's just like, no problem. Right. Yeah. Like, I'm not even going to question this. And the not questioning it, or questioning it like a small amount of time, is really important, right? Because if you're in situations where there are competing suggestions of what to do, or it's not clear at all what to do or whatever, that's how you get like erosion of the overall cohesiveness of the group. And that's how the crowd dissolves back into a bunch of individuals.
Right. So let me spit some stuff back to you.
Yep.
So my interpretation of what you're saying here is that humans are very much like what like the way the world works, and in terms of what humans do and don't do, is very much determined by the kind of information that is in their minds. And the way they interact with information as individuals is different than the way they interact with information when they're in a crowd.
Yes.
There are certain things that they would be willing to do or not willing to do as individuals that completely switch up when they're in a crowd.
Yes.
Now, there are certain people that information, and especially like leaders or people who can express information in particular ways or ideas in particular ways, have the capacity of assembling and disassembling crowds, right?
Yep.
And now there's different ways of, and the reason for this is because people take in ideas, they take in information, and they make decisions based on that. They have faith based on that.
Yep.
They have hope based on that. They have fears based on that. And what you're talking about now is the ways in which different leaders use information to create scaffolding for these groups of people, and the effects on the groups, the unique strengths and weaknesses that they enable or don't enable. Super interesting.
Yeah. Let me give you another example. This is something that was really formative in how I've shaped thinking about this. So I used to play in a band, and that band is in Montreal. It was in the local punk and ska scene.
What is it called?
It's called The Fundamentals.
Damn. The Fundamentals?
The Fundamentals.
Of course it was called The Fundamentals.
That's right. As opposed to The Macros. It's a callback to earlier in the stream for anybody who was there.
Montreal band. It was a ska band?
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
It was great.
What year was this?
2011, 12, 13.
So that's like post Sublime and shit?
That's not us. That is a different band called The Fundamentals, which we were rivals with because they were like a wedding cover band.
I think that's the wedding cover band.
Yeah, that's
the
the
wedding cover band. You should put in Alex Danco.
If you put in Stomp Records, there you go.
Yeah. Right here, yeah.
There you go.
Since their, can I read this?
Sure.
Since their first meeting in late 2009, it's five.
Who wrote this?
Well, let us know if it's right. Since their first meeting in late 2009 as five strangers nostalgic for the glory days of Canadian ska, the Fundamentals have morphed and multiplied into the 8-piece ensemble they are today. Is this true?
I don't know who wrote this.
No strangers.
We're a 7-piece, not 8.
No strangers to the stage. The Fundamentals have shared a bill with such internationally recognized acts as Sub.
This is early.
Mustard Plug, New York Ska Jazz Ensemble, Catch 22, The Fabulous, Lolo, Deals Gone Bad, and Matt Collier of the Planet Smashers, as well as played as the backing band for renowned ska reggae MC and producer King Django.
This is early.
We got to talk about this.
Yeah, we could.
This is crazy, man.
Let me set that. Let me explain why I'm setting this
you
up.
guys?
Yeah, that's us.
Where are you?
I'm in the back right.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah, it's me. That hair.
Look at that guy.
Yeah. You can play some music if you want.
Yeah.
Is
this a good song? Get All Right?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
That was the title track on the album. Go forward 2 songs. One more. There we go. So the thing about music scenes that's really wonderful is every Saturday night there will be a show.
Wait, let's listen.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can put on. Yeah. Put on music. Reg, the guy in the front singing.
So what did you play?
I played keyboards.
Oh, nice, man.
And one of the amazing things, we were talking earlier about sort of like gift cultures and about the importance of all that. So like a lot of these people are still my best friends.
Of course.
We see each other all the time.
I knew it.
Yeah.
See, I knew it, man.
These things really will turn into lasting things in your life.
I knew it.
So the thing about a music scene.
Wait, let me listen.
Oh, yeah, listen. Yeah.
Dreams you had can just fall right out of line. So you can go and bang your
That's good stuff.
Yeah. So the trombone player Pete in the back left lives like 2 blocks from here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the thing about the music scene, right? So we were in Montreal. We would tour around.
Yeah.
We crossed Canada a few times and did that stuff. But like mostly we were playing in Montreal, Toronto, these shared scenes. And in a music scene, you're talking about leadership in crowds. This is how we got into this. In a music scene, so you have this amazing self-organizing, spontaneous thing, which is that every week there will be a show and it'll be different people playing the show and it's the same groups of people, but everybody's playing a different role, right? You have different promoters, you have different bands playing, you have different reasons to go. You have all kinds of people who are like bringing their friends to the show. There is this whole interesting economy of people and self-assembly going on, right? And, the reason why this matters a lot is because scenes like this, what makes a scene self-sustaining is that they are ways of being and participating where different people take turns at leadership in all these different ways. Right. So it's like you have, for example, like just the relationship between an opening band and the headlining band is a really nuanced relationship of like, it's my turn to imagine. So a classic thing that happens is like you have a headlining band who's traveling and they come to town and then the opening band will bring all their fans. Right? And that will be the draw, right? It'd be like, all right, we're going to draw all my fans and then these people are coming and then they're going to buy your merch and that's how you make money.
Totally.
Right. And it's like, you would do the same for me or whatever. There's this whole interesting economy. You also have there are going to be promoters in the scenes who are the people who put on the shows and put up the money and like get the tickets sold and things like that, who are people who find the drink sponsors or whatever. And then in the show, you have people who like, again, what makes a great show is like, what makes a great show? You know, if you were to say one thing, it's people dance. Right? What makes people dance? It's like, well, in a show, what happens is you have a whole bunch of people, right? And those people start out as individuals and you need to make them become a crowd. Right? And the crowd is on the dance floor, right? That's when you have a crowd. And the singer in the band is going to start the show by always saying the same thing, more or less, right? It's like, what's the classic thing that somebody says right at the beginning of the show?
I'm going to get this one wrong.
It's a classic line.
I'll try one, but I'm going to get it wrong.
Okay,
it's going to be, I don't know, I guess it'd be like, how you
doing is not bad, actually.
Yeah. Or it's like, hello, Toronto or something.
No, that's what you say after the first song.
Oh, okay.
You always say hello, Cleveland after the first song. How are you doing?
So what's the first opening line that you say?
Are you ready? That's the classic line is, are you ready?
And you just keep repeating it.
And there's this implication here, which is like, I mean, ready for what, right? It's like, are you ready to do the challenge? Right? What's the challenge? Well, the challenge is, are you going to dance? Right? And then the challenge is what brings the people into a crowd, right? Because that's how you get everybody pressed up against each other, right close to the stage and things like that. It's like, are you ready to do the challenge? You know what the opposite of "Are you ready" is?
What?
Is come closer to the stage. Why are you so far back? Doesn't fucking work.
That's fucking crazy.
It's terrible, right? It's immediate.
You can't do that.
Why is it such an immediate kill? Is because you can't compel people to become a crowd.
No, it's their choice.
No, it's their choice. People, remember that line that I was reading is like people will bristle up against it. If you tell people everybody come closer together, that's uncomfortable, right? Like, whereas when people are doing the challenge together, they become a crowd and then they all dance together. And then that's how you have, there's something else that's really important, by the way, which is that in any show, usually the way that the show is built is you'll have a central dance floor where you have a whole bunch of people who are dancing. And then there is farther back, you have another group of people who are sitting in chairs watching, or they're standing watching, and they will be slightly less dense. Right? Is that you have the people actually there who are really close in, and then you have a bunch of witnesses. This is really important, right? And it is always in about the same ratio. Call it like 1-3 or 1-4 or something like that. There's always a number of people watching you do the challenge, and that's how you know you've done it.
Oh my God.
This is really important, right? And so just to put this in your mind, this is the exact same as like on Twitter, there are some people who are actually posting, and then there's a larger group of people that are just liking.
100%.
This is the same
or
thing.
Not even liking, just observing.
Just watching. Yeah. This is very important because the reason why it's really important for there to be witnesses in the crowd is that's how you know you've done the challenge.
That's crazy.
Right? This is important, right? So sometimes what will happen is when there is a show and the ratio is off. Right? When there are not enough witnesses, you know what can happen? The show can turn violent.
Really? Oh,
this
yeah,
is
that makes
sometimes
sense.
what happens, right? If there's only that, right? It's like the energy gets really off. And what you happen is you have a crowd that can suddenly turn back into a bunch of individuals. Totally. Right? It's called crowd, it's not discharge. What's it called? there's a term for this in the Kennedy book that I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, again, did you ever see that documentary about Woodstock 99?
Maybe. But I was thinking about Woodstock a lot as you were talking, because the crowds there were just absolutely massive.
Yeah.
It's like almost crazy to look at images and videos of like Woodstock, because it's like, it doesn't even make any sense.
So in Woodstock 99, which was, this big music festival
look at the sea of people. That's like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, is Limp Bizkit. Okay, so I want to talk about Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
So in this documentary, there's this really interesting
Go to the
sequence,
top right clip,
which tells the story of when the crowd started to really get out of control. In this
event,
the crowd got out of control when Limp Bizkit was playing, and Fred Durst and the organizers were trying to make this call, which is stop the music, you're losing the crowd.
Yeah.
And Fred Durst refused to stop because he was like, if I stop, it will get worse. People will get more angry if I stop, and then you'll really lose the crowd. The right answer is to go through. And I think he was right. I think Mr. Durst.
What was the communication process back and forth there? What was the scale of chaos?
It wasn't like Altamont or something. I don't think anybody died. I can't remember actually. I don't think anybody died.
Was it the song Break Stuff?
I hope so. No, it's one of these things where it's like, it was like day 3 of a festival, and there wasn't enough water, and everything was going badly about the festival because it was badly organized. So the crowd was already mad. And it was it's one of these situations where
3 people died.
Oh, 3 people did die of heat-related illness. Yeah.
Oh, heat-related, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
The individuals who died were the festival intended to celebrate, yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mosh pit during, that's Woodstock in general.
This is Woodstock, yeah. So the overall topic here is just this idea of crowd control, right, is a really interesting topic, because it's when you have a crowd of 100,000 people, it's what's security going to actually do about this? Nothing. They're powerless to do anything about this. It's actually up to the performer to manage the crowd. Yeah. Right. This is why it's Fred Durst was right. Fred Durst actually, he understood what he had to do, which was keep playing and slowly dissolve the tension through the end of the set.
That's
rather
crazy.
Than stop. Right. It's an interesting thing. Anyways, if you go back to this idea of what makes scenes work, and again, what makes a show work, what makes a festival work, is different people taking turns being the leader.
Yeah.
Right.
Even you're saying even these broader witnesses, the people in the back, even them.
Well, they're doing a service too. They might not be being so. When I would go to shows, right, it's there'd be some shows where I would be playing.
Yeah.
There are some shows where I'd be dancing, and some shows where I'd be watching.
Yes.
You don't need to be a leader every time.
Yes.
Right. Sometimes you're I want to sit in the back and watch the show.
Yeah.
Other times you're playing in the show. Right. Yeah. It's there are enough people and enough different roles that on any given day it kind of sorts itself out.
That's crazy.
Who's doing what. But the essential, but again, it's important that there is a nice rotating cast of if you're always seeing the same people every single time,
it's boring.
It's boring, exactly. Not only is it boring, but also if it's always the same rigid hierarchy of power every time, what happens is the scene will actually disintegrate.
Yeah.
Right. This is
there's no balance. There's no harmony there. You were going to say something there.
Well, also because there's real value in the actual status hierarchy of the group being opaque and unknowable.
Why is that?
So there's a funny, I forget who originally wrote this, but there's this funny observation, which is that imagine you have a group of 10 friends in high school.
Yeah.
And imagine if you actually sat down, you could rank them in order of coolness from 1 to 10. You could do it. If everybody decided to do it, you could do it.
Yeah.
But it is not in anyone's interest to do it.
No.
The reason why you will always know who's 1 and you always know who's 10.
Yeah.
You always know who's the alpha and you know who's lucky to be there and the court jester of the group, right? But 2 through 9 are going to be opaque.
Yeah.
The reason why this is important is because if you actually could one day know this information, everybody would hate each other.
Yeah.
Right. The people in the top would be I need to break off from these bottom people because I'm in the top. And the people who are in the bottom are going to be resentful of that fact.
Totally.
Right. They don't want to know that they're there. They're going to be mad about this. So
social fog of war.
Social fog of war. I wrote about this. Yeah. It's this is why in startups, it's really important that you can't actually know who's better among a cohort of companies. You have a sense. You know who the star is, right? But you can't actually know.
I think the other thing about that is say you have a group of 10 friends and you order them by coolness. Mm-hmm. What happens is you're applying a hierarchy to them that is not actually fully representative of the role they play in the group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that's true, but in a self-determining sort of way.
Right.
Right. This is where it's like, even if, you know, let's say if you take the actual reality of the situation, which is like you have to have friends and they all do contribute in various different ways, but nonetheless, you could rank them.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, but you shouldn't. It's not that you can't rank them. It's like you probably can, but nobody wants to do that. Right. And efforts to do it are usually rejected by any self-sustaining group. And it's also why, again, in all scenes, there is an awareness of the scene that is one order of more sophisticated and one order of less sophisticated. Right. So in our music scene, it's like we always used to take comfort in the fact that we weren't like the Quebec City scene, which was below us, or whatever. Or whatever it was. It was like there was a tier of worse bands, right, that could not get booked and did not have fans and were not good or whatever. And we were not them.
Yeah.
But also there was a tier of bands that were better than us, right? These are bands that were like more, so like, you know, like bands that were more successful than us.
Yeah.
And they would be the sort of mentors of the group, and they would be around, right? They would occasionally come hang out with us. But these are the people who own the record label.
Yeah.
Lorraine was our landlord.
Yeah.
Like they would sort of occasionally descend from the upper tier and like come hang out with us, but like we knew we weren't really them.
Yeah.
Right. But there are all the time people trying to move from one to the other. Like every once in a while, you'll see someone get really successful and bud off and go up to the next thing. I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah.
This happened here in Toronto. So when we used to play, there was a band that we used to play with a lot called The Creep Show, and they were a psychobilly band. They were great.
Psychobilly?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're like, you know, like Reverend Horton Heat.
Maybe.
They're like
psychobilly. Well, like what is that genre?
It's rockabilly, but a little harder.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
like the instrumentation changes?
No, not really. It's just it's little louder. So The Creep Show.
The Creep they're from Burlington. It's a Canadian rock band from Burlington, Ontario. The band formed in 2005. Wait, before you tell this story,
okay,
we got you a gift.
Oh, look at this! It's a whole gift. Thank you, guys.
Well, you like gifts, right?
I love gifts. Keep it upright. Keep it upright.
Yeah, well, you got to open it now, though.
Open it now. Okay.
Yeah, so we can talk about Creep Show in a second.
Pause the Creep Show. I'm gonna open this now.
Can you put the camera on the monitor so you can see?
Yeah.
So you can see.
I'm going to open this as close to the mic as possible so we get maximum sound.
You like gifts. Oh, keep it up right.
Sorry. I forgot the one rule. This is surprisingly hard to open while keeping upright.
It's from Walmart.
Save money, live better.
You like gifts.
I like gifts. All right. It smells good.
Yeah.
It's a delicious smelling gift. Oh, what a gift. Guys, I'm honored. This is a slice. I got is this from Fresca?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how did you know? That's my favorite pizza place.
Another slice in there.
Fresca, with you got the green garlic sauce.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm honored.
Yeah.
Are we sharing these?
They got one too.
All right.
Yeah. Wait. We got you like this place?
I love this place. This is one of my favorite pizza places. This is my top three.
What's your favorite? What do you like about it so much?
Oh, I like the paintbrush of the green garlic sauce.
Oh wait, we got another gift for you.
Over.
We got another gift for you.
Ooh.
Gift culture, man.
Gift culture. I'm so open to receiving whatever's coming my way right now. I've never been treated so well, guys. This is perfect.
You gotta put it on. Yeah.
I'm absolutely gonna put it on. Would you like some? Let me serve you.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Oh, thank you.
So the story with this place, Pizza Fresca. Is it Fresca Pizza?
I think it's Fresca Pizza, but I've always said Pizza Fresca.
Yeah. So this joint Fresca, we used to be this place called Vinnie Massimo's. The guy who works there, he's a Vietnamese guy. And he used to work at Vinnie Massimo's. And then Vinnie Massimo's closed down. And he opened this joint called Fresca. And yeah, I think the spread and everything he did was like part of what he learned at Vinnie Massimo's. Fresca pizza and pasta.
That's the place.
Yeah, this is
College and Spadina.
This is Alex Danco's joint, man.
I think this is in my top three.
I never had this before. Top three. Let's see.
This is in my top three.
Let's check this out. Oh. So the thing is, it's a big slice, and it's very thin, but it holds its shape.
Oh yeah. And so the reason to go here is they always have this big pot.
This is super, super, super good.
This pot of chopped up garlic and a whole bunch of green. There's I think parsley in here. There's lots of good stuff. Thank you. And you go in, and when you get your slice, there's a paintbrush, and then you dip. There you go. We have this on the screen. Here we go. You just sort of slather it on, and you can add as much or as little as you'd like.
Yeah, it's
great
good
spot.
pizza, man. So Creepshow.
Good job. Okay, so their singer. Their singer had a side project. So we would open for the Creepshow. We played for them. They were the bigger band. We tagged on with them. We played shows with them. It was wonderful. We're still friends with those guys. Their lead singer had a side project with her boyfriend, which was this little thing they did for fun that was truly bad, called Walk Off the Earth.
Okay.
Anybody heard of this band? Yeah.
No, you heard of this band?
Yeah, they did the whole. They did the cover for the Gautier song.
Well, so here I'll tell you the story. We were playing a show at the Opera House in the East End. If any of you know that, on Queen Street.
Yeah.
And between sound check and doors was when that video went viral. This is the video of the 5 people playing the guitar. It's somebody that I used to know. This is relatively early in the history of viral videos like that. Like, yes. So this is it. We'll put this on screen. You may remember this video.
Yeah.
So between soundcheck and doors, so she was the singer.
Yeah.
Between soundcheck and doors was when the video took off and went viral. And over the course of that evening, she stopped being friends with us.
Really?
She was like, "Bye, I'm out of here. It's my ticket up and out. See ya." We were all
That
like,
evening she stopped?
that evening.
Pause the video?
Literally, it was just like by the end of that show, she's just like, "All right, I'm moving on. You guys, like, see you later." And like that was it. We never talked to her again. And it was like,
She
you know
was
what?
in the band?
She was in the Creep Show, right?
Oh,
She was the
and
singer. of
and
the
you
Creep-
just never talked to her again after
Yeah,
that?
gone. She's like up and out. And then to their credit, like I remember at the time people were all butthurt about it. We were like, "Oh, like fuck that. How can you do this?" But it was like, you know what? Circle of life.
Yeah.
Like they had their chance to move up and out and become a real star, and then they actually succeeded. The thing that's cool about it is that then they got signed to a big record label. They work with good producers. Then now they play stadiums and shit.
Really?
Yeah, like they are
Without
now.
that person?
No. Sorry. So she joined her side project band, Walk Off the Earth, and then they became famous.
Oh,
The
I
side
see.
project, the Creep Show.
So she had just like fully worked out that she needed to move on at that point.
I think she made that calculation like that afternoon.
Oh,
right? It was
really?
like, this is my ticket out of here. Let's go. Right. Like this is just to the
Wow.
point of like, scenes don't stay the same, right? Sometimes people leave, and people, like, for people to
Totally.
join, people also have to leave, right? You make room for the people coming up next, and like it was
Totally.
all very like, you know what? Like, okay, like, good for you. You did it.
It's always weird when someone makes a decision like that
And it was
because
very,
you're still in the scene. And it makes you wonder, like, should you still be in the scene? Are you wasting your time?
well, people have to recommit to the scene all the time,
Yeah.
right? This is one of those moments where it's like, well, we're still here. Okay,
Yeah.
let's play the show.
Yeah.
It was very funny. Again, it was funny in sort of like at a tiny level, like how cruel it was.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, this is my ticket out of here. Goodbye. Never talking to you people again.
Crazy.
But then it was also like, you know what? Like they found a new singer and they kept playing and kept being successful, and we all kept playing with them, and everything moved on.
Yeah.
Right? Things change in order to stay the same.
Right. I wonder if we have a little bit of a scene going on in Toronto right now. Some new kind of thing happening here. Seems like it. There's something going on.
I think you should tell me what you think.
Yeah, of like what's happening?
Yeah.
I think there's something happening where I just think the narratives that I came up with, these narratives of San Francisco and building there and all this kind of stuff, I just don't think people care about them as much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like whatever we're doing right now in Toronto, and just kind of like, just us having fun and talking to people here that we think is interesting, it's just kind of like seemingly pushing things in a different direction, and people seem to be resonating with it or something.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be becoming a new scene with new rules.
Well, I think so. About a year ago or so,
Yeah.
you were part of a really interesting story that got going.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, at one point I noticed that I think you were like, it's time to step back from this a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was like a perfectly timed decision.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and being like, that man knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right. It was very, very well timed on your part, I think.
Yes,
where it's like,
yeah.
oh, thank you.
On your tooth.
Is it the green sauce?
Yeah.
No,
Let's
that'll
see.
happen.
Let's see. Almost.
Almost?
Yeah.
Well, I can eat the rest of this pizza. So why
Yeah.
don't we?
Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so.
Anyway, like, I don't know. Why don't you tell me? Can you? I would love to hear from you what you think is sort of like a descriptive evolution of the past 3, 4, 5 years of what the psyche is.
Well, I can tell you what we did.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I started doing on Twitter. Okay. So I'm not as good of a writer as you are at all. So
You're a better poster than I am, though.
I don't know, man.
Ah.
So there might a lot of what I do is very instinctual. So I think like it might not, you might have to push me to think deeper, but, or to communicate more clearly. But I think, I started going on some walks around like 2 years ago. So just like I posted on Twitter and I was like, hey, if anyone wants to go for a walk, let's go for a walk. This was me partly accepting that I was going to, stay in Toronto, and I was going to not just stay, but I was going to, use whatever skills I had that I was always thinking I would use in some other place, because that was my goal. I was like, I'm always trying to get to some other place. And I would just use them and apply it to what's right in front of me. That was a mental shift that I started thinking about. So the first step was I started going on walks. And I go on these walks and with different people, all different ages. And I started to realize that the scene, which is a word that has a lot of depth, I think, for you specifically, but it looked a lot differently than the scene that I came up in. It seemed like it had like less momentum. And I heard people say things like, hey, I just like applied for a job at Shop. I'm like, what are you working on? Like a young person, right? I'd be like, what are you working on? And they'd be like, oh, I just applied for a job at Shopify. I didn't get a job at Shopify. And now I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try this. Yep. I thought it was interesting because when I came up, I never heard anyone say I applied for a job at Shopify. There was nowhere to apply. You know what I mean? You just kind of just had to create your own studio or like, your own little like startup. There weren't even a lot of like product startups. There were a lot of like service companies, which ended up getting like bought. And so, so I just thought that was interesting because when I came up in Toronto, I assumed that whatever I experienced would be on a continual incline. But then what I witnessed was this kind of like decline. And so I just got curious about it. Is it possible to, a question I think about a lot is what is the extent to which I can create large scale systemic change with just my talents, a computer and an internet connection? That's like a question I think about a lot. So I saw this and I thought like, I wonder if I could start poking around at this thing and like what could happen. So the first theory I had was that people believed, I would post things on Twitter like Toronto's a perfect city. And people would be like, fuck you, man.
People from here.
Yeah. They're like, fuck you. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, like, that's interesting. Right. And I'm like, it's just a perfect city. And they're like, it's not, man. It's, this place is a hellhole. And it goes back to the reflexivity. I started to realize, I was like, how much of this is just like, how much of this city is bad and how much of this is you are just depressed?
And also,
or
also you are seeking a reaction.
Yeah.
Right. The reaction is the content.
Yeah. And I was actually seeking a reaction. People, obviously any normal person would look at that and say like, oh, he's rage baiting. But what I was actually trying to do was I was trying to understand if I take this idea, how does it bounce around in the minds of people so that I can understand a little bit more about how they think. Yep. I was prototyping narratives.
Sometimes you have to just say it to hear how it sounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I just say Toronto's a perfect city. And then other things I tried was I'd walk around with people and, I'd take a walk. There's this neighborhood in the west end of Toronto called Roncisville. And I'd take all my walks there. And it became very inconvenient for me to, meet some people somewhere else.
I lived on Marion for a couple of years.
Yeah, nice.
I love that neighborhood.
As you can see here, I'm open for more conversations in Roncisville and Toronto on Tuesday and Thursday this upcoming week. I'm thinking we can either go for a walk or if I've met you before, you can demo what we're working on each other in a coffee shop, reply or DM. I was doing stuff like this.
Yep.
And I would write about in each walk, I would write what I learned. And so there was a reason I was doing all of this. And one thing I noticed as I would walk around in the west end of Toronto and Roncesvalles is like it was way too inconvenient for me to do these walks at a high frequency, like a couple times a week, if it was anywhere but Roncesvalles. I lived in a place I live near Port Credit.
Okay.
So I just want to drive in on the west side,
right.
and you know what I mean? And I want to do the walk, and I want to go home. I don't want to drive in to the core of the city.
Yep.
So then I started asking some of my friends, they've come up in the scene here, the Toronto tech scene. I'm like, hey, it would be so much easier if all of this Toronto technology stuff was like centralized around one particular neighborhood.
Yep.
And they're like, okay, like where would it be? And then obviously everyone starts naming wherever they live because they want it to be like wherever they are, right? Mm-hmm. And then I would say, what about here? And then, and everyone had a reason as to why it won't work in that particular area.
That's right.
And then so I just said like, well, with this whole like reflexivity thing, which is this pattern I started to notice, I start to think this whole thing is an empty container and it feels like no one really knows what to do. Mm-hmm. So I just started tweeting things out like Roncesvalles, which is where it was most convenient for me to meet up, is the lifeblood of the Toronto tech scene.
I remember this.
Yeah. And I just kept repeating that like everything in Toronto is happening in Roncesvalles, right? And it was great. And then I started saying to people like, when can you meet? Like they'd say like, hey, let's grab a coffee or whatever. I can do Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't Roncesvalles, I would just be like, when can you meet me in Roncesvalles? Mm-hmm. And they'd be like, why Roncesvalles? I'm like, well, it's the heart of the Toronto tech scene.
Yeah.
And I just kept repeating it over and over again. Yeah, it was good seeing Tommy today, again today in Ronci. And I kept saying, I'm in Roncesvalles. I'm in Roncesvalles, in Roncesvalles. See, look, every tweet, in Ronci, in Ronci, or in Roncesvalles. I just kept repeating this. Mm-hmm. And then this interesting thing happened where this, and obviously I was meeting people I didn't know. Yep. And I was meeting them often for the first time. Mm-hmm. And then something interesting happened. I'm walking around and they started saying things like, you really think, this is the heart of the Toronto tech scene? And I was like, yeah. It is.
You're here. I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so that's kind of like, that's how it started. And it started to make me believe that this is kind of like an empty container for storytelling, that there's not enough narrative scaffolding to really get the correct behaviors happening here. And I just kept building on that. Then I thought, okay, well, all right, well, so a story needs a location, but it also needs conflict. Mm-hmm. And so it needs a character. Yep. There's this thing, if you look up how to draw comics, I think, with Scott McCloud, and then type in,
I love that.
Yeah, if you type in, you see yourself, it'll be, and then you got to go to images. It might take a little thing, but this is important. Mm-hmm. But basically the idea is that if you draw an image with too much, right here, it's like, thus, when you look at a realistic, go back to that first image, that's cool. Mm-hmm. Thus, when you look at a photo or a realistic drawing of a face, you see it as a face of another. But when you enter the world of the cartoon, you see yourself. This is basically, you could play with this, but the idea here is that when you remove details and you remove towards abstraction, what happens is you still retain some aspects of an idea, but now a person can project things into it.
Can I make a callback?
Yes, please.
Do you remember a month ago or so when we were having a Twitter space in the evening and we were talking about hot and cool media?
Yeah.
So this is that.
Right.
Right. It's like the image on the right. In this case, it's like things coming to you versus you filling in all the details. Right. It's like
push and pull.
There are some forms of media where when there is a lot going on, the image on the right is going to work better because it allows you to naturally fill in all that space, which is all your brain is able to do anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really, this is excellent callback.
Yeah. And so, so I see this a lot on Twitter when you look at a lot of these like PFPs, these anime profile pictures and things like this. So for me, I've always been aware of it, or not always, but I had become aware of this in studying storytelling. And so I thought, okay, well, there needs to be some kind of character. Like if a story needs a character. Mm-hmm. And maybe this character is this kind of like Ronin, a samurai dude who's just like walking around, just like looking for, he uses his MacBook Pro. Like here, if you go here, you know, it'd say, I'll get to this point. You can open up this tweet.
Oh, the Patty.
So this was like, I needed a conflict.
Yep.
And so I was, okay, I got a character. He's like this guy Musashi. I was reading a lot about Musashi at the time. And I was like, his blade is going to be his MacBook Pro. And then we've got a location, the west end of Toronto. Now we need conflict. And so what I did was, you got to understand, I'm doing this more as an investigation, more than I'm doing this as some kind of like, I'm not directing yet. Yeah. I did begin directing, but I'm doing it more as an investigation. And the investigation was really trying to understand, what is this Toronto scene, this technology, people making things with computer scene, and how malleable is it? Yep. Can I just start making shit up? Because if it's malleable, I would be able to, like, if it's very malleable, I would just be able to like straight make up a lot of shit. And so people were complaining about Toronto all the time. I don't know if I just don't see it anymore, or if it actually stopped from like some of the stuff we did in our like this internet Toronto community. But I started quote tweeting tweets anytime someone would complain about Toronto. And I'd say the reason this person is saying what they're saying is because the growing conflict between the east and west end of Toronto. And I just kept repeating that. And obviously this shit's getting like no views. No one's interacting with it. And I just keep repeating, it's because of the growing conflict between the east and west end of Toronto. And then eventually someone replies and says, what growing conflict? And the thing was, the thing I didn't realize at that time was, I actually didn't think what the conflict would be. And I was actually with my son. Let's say he was like 6 at the time. He was sick. I was at a doctor's office waiting for the doctor to call us. And I'm tweeting this shit. And then his name gets called. And I just see the reply, which is, what conflict? And I'm like, fuck.
Shots fired.
I should have thought about what the conflict is. And then I'm like, so it has to be something so dumb, because my only intention is to understand how malleable the Toronto tech scene is. And I'm like, and I wrote this in between getting up from the chair to go take my son to the doctor's office. And it was something like this. You could probably find this. The keyword is iffy. And I said, so my friend from the east end of Toronto, my friend invited me, he wanted to get some feedback on some software, but he lives in the east end of Toronto, and the people from the east end of Toronto are kind of iffy. But, you know, I wanted to help my friend. So I took the trip, I drove all the way there, and I get to his office, and there's no software. He didn't want feedback on anything. Actually, I just walked in, and he threw a Jamaican beef patty at me, and that was it. And then I looked at this, and it started to get like a lot of views. And then I was like, oh, fuck. It has to be a little bit like real. It has to be kind of real, because someone's going to look at that and be like, that's stupid. Why would that happen? That's a bullshit story. So then without consent, I said, the guy who threw the patty was Roble, because I wanted a formidable opponent. I thought I was pretty good at making. Wow. Yeah. I was like, I'm a good at making software. I think, you know what I mean? I'm a creative guy. Yeah. Who's a guy that I think can maybe go toe to toe with me right now with my current ability in the city? And I was like, it's got to be him.
That's right.
And he's on the east end. And then I said, okay. And once I saw the view count go up, then I said, okay, so now I have a character, a location, and a conflict. Not just a conflict, but I have an inciting incident.
That's right.
I have, this person did something to me, and now I have a choice. Yep. And the choice I made was, I said, I've had enough. I'm going to split the city into 2 factions, and you can't do anything about it. It's going to be the east end of Toronto, and it's going to be the west end of Toronto. And I'm going to redesign this whole fucking city. I've had enough. And then people were replying to me, and they were like, don't do it.
No, hold it back.
Yeah. They're like, I'm like, what? They're like, don't do it.
Somebody stop this man.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And they're like, you know, and they were like, and then there were other people that are like, hey, we need more unity in the Toronto, and you're trying to split people apart. And I was like, this is incredible.
This is working.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. What is this? How is this possible?
I'll tell you.
How is this possible?
There was
like you could just make shit up.
There was a long period of time where I actually thought that Rob threw a patty at you. I thought it actually happened. I only found out like a month later.
Wait, go to. So there's another image if you can find it. It's with this guy Greg Eisenberg and Rob Lay. And there's like a fucking 1,000 patties flowing. It's just like this Renaissance painting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The search isn't working.
Oh man,
Cloudflare.
It kept escalating. It kept escalating. Where you know, anytime, you know, like some people totally didn't get it, but respect to some very creative people that understood what this was very early on, and they started to insert themselves into the narrative. And yeah, it honestly, it worked. It worked because something happened from this whole thing.
Couple thoughts on this. So one is that the first thing that I will offer is, you know, the patty is the perfect insult in a very Shakespearean way, because real conflict is not over anything.
Yeah.
Right? If it's over something actual, then you can resolve that thing and then the story's done.
Totally.
Whereas when the beef is over zero, that's the real beef.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. It's the real the real story arc has to be over just the most imperceptible of slights.
Totally. Go to I don't know if you'll be able to find this now. Oh yeah, search isn't working. But what I did with this image, so it says here, when historians look back on this Renaissance in Toronto, the patty this East End man threw at me will be seen as the Big Bang. And what I did was I kept taking like whatever traction was being created, companies, startups, events. This is it. These East End mans and now East End Greg are trying everything and anything they can to stop me and this Renaissance in Toronto. They're scared of change, scared of what it means, but it doesn't matter because nothing they do will be enough. East End Greg until I die. So there's just me in the center. Like, well, you got to really go. That's like art, man. You got, there's me in the center of this weird ass. Like, there's like patties flying all around.
The Greg is almost convincing in there.
Yeah, he's just. Yeah, it's but you know, I also then afterwards, I think there was a lot of real frustration. I think there is with the city and with like the mechanics of the scene not really always working. And so this was cool because it gave me a way to like communicate about it.
I mean, my frustration with the city is, as an East End man myself, that in 10 years I'll be able to take the subway directly from my house to here, but not yet.
It's crazy.
Stuck on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you live in Toronto?
Because my wife's from Toronto.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
But I feel like you kind of like it.
I do like it. I've grown to like it. I've grown to love it, actually.
Yeah.
So we lived in Montreal together for 10 years, and I love, so my dad's American and my mom's French Canadian.
Yeah.
So I'm 0% English Canadian.
Yeah.
I didn't know any English Canadians.
You're not no Anglo.
No, exactly. Like, I didn't know any English Canadians until I went to Montreal for university.
Oh, I see.
And I remember like, oh my God, you people are different. You're not like because Quebecers are Americans, right? Like we're very cohesive people.
Yeah.
Quebec
you can speak French?
Yeah, I grew up speaking French
cool.
with my mom partially.
That's cool.
I don't speak it well anymore, but like my mom taught me how to speak French.
Yeah.
Like, so Quebec is Florida, right? Quebecers are a group of people who love Bon Jovi and wearing capris. Yeah. And it's a fantastic people. This is my heritage.
Yeah.
But
I
coming
love Montreal, man.
it was the best. And coming to Ontario was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But I've grown to really love it. And I've been here for, I think, 9 years. Yeah. Long enough. But yeah, the thing that's always been funny about the Toronto tech scene, a couple of observations here. One is there are a lot of sort of like delusional lies that get retold and retold and retold. And I think the one to sort of start with is there's a thing I've heard a lot from local VCs and local, not even VCs, but like the people many layers up who are like the innovation officer of the whatever. And there's a story which is like, we don't have a shortage of promising people and startups. We have a scale up problem. Right. The word scale up, by the way, is a very, very good tell for this person who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's like, you know that scene in Inglourious Bastards where he does this with three fingers? It's like, you see the word scale up. It's like, okay.
Yeah, totally.
It's a great tell. Works every time. But then they're also like, no, the problem is that you have all these great things that get started and they can't grow here. The problem is all these things growing. It's like, I can think of one company that like raised a Series A here and then left. Yeah. Right. Sonder. Yeah. Right. I can't think of any other examples really. It's like, no, the problem is that people leave Waterloo immediately and go down to the Bears. Totally. Like, that's the problem. Like, But that's a harder problem to deal with than throw money at locally growing stuff, right? From the point of view of people, up in these decisions. And the thing about a lie is that when you tell a lie a lot, you find ways to make it true, right? Because you don't want to say like, oh, never mind, we actually had that terribly wrong. It's how you get a lot of like, I remember when they were like, we're going to make innovation superclusters. And then 3 years later, everybody was like, did anybody ever see one in the wild? Like, what's a supercluster? Everybody's like, Mars?
Yeah.
You ever go to the Mars building?
I went there a long time ago.
It's like, it's the most frustrating fucking place because it's like this beautiful building, right? It's so nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, nothing is ever going to get made here.
Is this what it looks like?
Yeah, that's on the outside. So it used to be the old hospital. That's a long time ago. And if you go inside, it's like this beautiful glass atrium. It's really, really spectacular. It's all people looking very impressive. And it's like I've never walked into somewhere and been like, this is the most fake shit I've ever seen. Like, it's like startups don't get started in places like this, right? They get started in places that look like shit. And something that I really miss is so in Montreal's tech scene has it has many of the same problems that Toronto's does and many of the same narrative challenges. But like one thing that they had very well was there was a local VC firm called Real Ventures back in the day, and they owned this space called Notman House.
Oh yeah, that was an iconic project in Montreal, right? Yeah, we should definitely grab that.
Great project, Notman House. I don't know if it still exists.
I think it closed.
I know it closed. I don't know if they reopened it or something.
This was it?
So that's it. So in the front house, you had this sort of like gray stone building, and that's where the VC firm's office was. And in the back, there was this bigger building that had all of these little spaces that you could work in. And it was terrible, right?
Yeah,
that's
what people say about it.
Hot, and there's no AC. Well, maybe there was AC, but like it didn't work very well. It was always hot. It was really cramped.
Is this what it looked like?
So that's the attic. That's where they would do event spaces.
It's a cool looking spot.
It's very the top was cool, but like the actual offices were just like fucking terrible. It was so hot, it was so uncomfortable, and the air was so sticky. There's no ventilation, and like that's why it worked. Right? Because it's like
it attracts a certain kind of person.
It attracts a certain kind of person. It's like you'd hang out in some absolutely terrible working environment. It's like people really bonded in those places and actually did work. Right? It's like this. There's a rule in stand-up comedy, which is that like for a show to work, the audience has to be a little bit physically uncomfortable.
Right.
Right. And like this gets, I think, at that a little bit because it's like, one, it turns you into a crowd, right? You need people to be a crowd, right? That's the precondition for any of this working. You can't have a bunch of individuals because no individual would rationally work on this, right? You need to be in crowd mindset. And the way that you get crowd mindset in this case is like people have to be in the same physically uncomfortable space together.
Why did this project stop? Do you know?
I'm sure some of it was because Real Ventures like couldn't raise another fund or something like that. I think that's a big part of it. It was also like fairly expensive to run, and they didn't recoup very much rent.
It's still there though.
The building is still there.
What's in there now?
I don't know.
Oh, it's like looks like it's like a restaurant.
Maybe that is what it looks like.
This is a cafe.
I see.
There was always a cafe in the basement. The cafe. So the main thing that I remember about that cafe is that everything was made of this sort of like matte black painted metal. This Cafe Osmo, yeah.
Was it called Cafe Osmo?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see here, like all the benches are made of metal, right?
Yeah.
All the tables were this like dark gray colored metal. And so anytime somebody would get up to stand up, there would be this nails across a chalkboard screeching sound that would just deafen the whole place for about 2 seconds. And it's like it all worked. It all worked so well together because of how poorly thought out every detail was.
Totally.
And that was like an essential part of the place.
Let's just get a bunch of people in a space and see what happens.
Yeah. And so there were actually, I don't even know, did anything really come out of there?
Well, people always reference this. It definitely had a lot of meaning to people.
It had a ton of meanings for people because people actually hung out there.
Yeah.
And it really meant a lot. Like I remember, what else? They would always do. Again, it's a group of people where because it was them trying to sort of jumpstart a scene, right, and sort of shock it into life with paddles. They did a lot of things actually well and a lot of things really terribly, right? Kind of it all goes together, right?
Yeah.
It was predominantly led by the guys at Real Ventures, who some of whom I think were like not that great people, but like others whom were awesome, right?
Yeah.
There were some people there, especially like a couple of like the principals and the more junior people who were like really great guys.
Yeah.
Like they really, you know, they cared in the right way, they did the right stuff, and it all like it never quite came together.
Right.
But it was like a lot of these ingredients were honestly really good, and I think if you could just try them in a different era or if a different restart, you would get that. And I'm just saying this is like in contrast to like the Mars or whatever of the world, where it's like, dude, like the problem with being in a really beautiful environment, you know, this is actually kind of the same problem I have with a lot of like American universities and things like that, where like you go to these campuses, it's
like Harvard or something,
or any of them. It's like, or not even just the Harvards. It's like the, you know, University Arizona State or whatever. It's like these campuses are like these luxury resorts.
Totally.
Everything is so nice. Everything is beautiful. Everything is like, the problem with this is that you start telling yourself a story about why you belong there.
Yeah.
And that story is not going to help you at all. Right? Because you need the story to be true. The more you tell the story, which is like, oh, I believe here, like I belong here, the more you defend your ability to fit into that place, and the more it distracts you from what the mission of what you're actually trying to do.
I feel like Waterloo will never have that problem.
I think so.
Like,
Exactly.
pull up the Waterloo Plaza. Go to that plaza right across from Waterloo. That's
I think
the
it's
thing.
essential part of why Waterloo works. It's not nice.
No. Well, I mean, yeah.
Waterloo Plaza, let's go.
It's crazy. So how do we take what we're doing and take it to the next level? We have some thoughts.
Tell me your thoughts. I'll give you reactions.
Well, the thoughts are right now, we've got a scene that's developing. It's growing. Like we've got this space. It gets like busier each day. Around the afternoon, it's usually pretty packed. There's something happening here all the time. I see like new relationships forming. There was a time where I recognized everyone's face. Now I don't know who anybody is.
That's a big step.
Yeah. And now I think it's really about putting together like a higher level of scaffolding. It seems like we have a lot of really smart people here. There's people that yesterday, some kid came in from Waterloo. You know, they're taking like public transportation from Waterloo to come hang out here for a bit and then go back.
That's sick.
The storytelling is very, very, very key. I don't like using that word, but the culture, the art around what you do is really important. But I think now it's like we got to take this scaffold. We got to put some better scaffolding around this and start driving it into a different direction. You got something.
I was reminded of your tweet the other day that was like, I bet we could raise a lot of money from the government of Canada, which is it's a perfect tweet.
Well,
I appreciated it.
Yeah, I think we definitely could.
I mean, I think you could too.
Yeah.
I think that.
But it's the question is like, how do we do this correctly, right? Like, how do you, the prompt here, the interesting thing about new is to see if we can actually glitch. Like that to me is the most interesting thing about working in Toronto. It's that if Toronto is not more malleable than San Francisco, if there's not a chance to just glitch the system, I don't know if I'd want to be here.
That's right.
I don't, because it's like, why? Because the thing I can't do in San Francisco that I can do in Toronto is like when I'm in San Francisco, I'm building on someone else's hierarchy. I'm participating in someone else's world. Here I can like build like this Fresca pizza, right? Like we can just, we could pick it up and it's like a moment for us.
That's right. I had this exact conversation with Fod about a month ago when, he's, at Open Door now. Yeah. And it was, in my first week at Andreessen, and we just went for a long walk around the beach for just hours. Yeah. And part of it was me sort of telling him about Kaz and how to work for Kaz, which I think he appreciated. They're doing great. But a lot of it was just like, there's something really different about like when we're in San Francisco, it's like we're nobody, right? There's so much. You're just a grain of sand. Yeah. Whereas here, you have agency to be someone. Yeah. Right. Totally. Like you get to be a little legend in a little corner of something. Totally. Right. Fod especially, he's a great gift for creating legendary, characteristics. Yeah. Well, himself and people and things.
You too, man.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Yeah. I try to do it differently than he does. Yeah. Not that he's doing it in a bad way, but just like we do it in different ways. Totally. Right. Yes. I think that like, it kind of gets to this idea of brand building, right? Like what is brand and like why does it matter? It's like, it's cool in the sense that like when you can bring more lore and more potential into interactions like this show or like just be hanging out in new on the other side of the door, when you have a lot of backstory, when you have a lot of character, when you have a lot of stuff, there's more potential for surprise. Right. right? And surprise is what everything is made of.
Yes.
Right? If you can really create good surprise,
Yes.
right? I think that's how you can create that. Glitches is a good word for it, actually.
Yeah.
The sort of discontinuity.
Yes.
I think that all scenes and anything social that works, I think, has to have a concept of the sacred and the profane.
Yeah. And we have to, the problem is that the kind of risky thing or the scary thing about New right now is as we take this next step towards the scaffolding, I'm talking to a lot of different people and getting input from smart people. When you have time, I'd love to talk to you about it more too, but just getting input from everyone. And like, it's kind of scary because we have to make that decision about what is okay and what is not okay. And we have to kind of put our flag in the ground. Right. And it's a little bit scary because the current system, it's not working. It's not interesting enough. It's not yielding enough creative output. And so, yeah, it's a little bit scary because it's like, and the other thing is like, we got to start with new defaults. We can't pick the same defaults as like, you know, we see in San Francisco and stuff like that, because that's not going to work either. So we got to, you know, so really it's like, what are the defaults that are so interesting that would make this a fundamentally different place to create things that is surprising, with the potential to glitch this whole scene, right? Or this, whatever this place is.
So, okay. You mentioned storytelling and conflict earlier.
Yeah.
I think that, so in all conflict,
Yeah.
you know, you say like there are many kinds of conflicts, but I think at the end of the day, they all come down to one sort of parent story in storytelling, which is, in Greek tragedy and like Greek storytelling, it was like you have all of this conflict down here, but the meta story was respectful to the gods versus disrespectful to the gods.
Right.
At the end of the day, you could sort out the story, which is like there's somebody who's being disrespectful, and therefore that's how you know the story's going to resolve.
Totally.
Right. And in the meantime, a lot of forward progress can happen on this respect versus disrespectful. A modern day version of this is in pro wrestling. It's like, how do you tell who's the heel, who's the face? It's like, well, fundamentally, it's like the heel is somebody who is disrespectful to wrestling.
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's like, you know, the face has to show up, and it's like, therefore you have to wrestle for wrestling. Right? That's how you can tell. That's how you sort everything out, right?
Totally.
Like it's
yes.
It's again, it's like
that's not right.
It's not. I'm not saying that this works because this is like very, very evolved, highbrow stuff. It's like, no, this is Carney shit. Not like the PM Carney, but like, you know, the old what Carney used to mean. But it's like fundamentally, it's like you need to have that dynamic of like respectful to wrestling versus disrespectful to wrestling. And there is, so right now, like if you look like in the Toronto tech scene, I think you need to be able to, like, this is why I think the Jamaican Patty was such an effective vehicle for a little while, is because it's like, you can't tell who's being disrespectful to whom. You looked at this tweet, you're sizing it up, it's like, are you the one being disrespectful or is Robley being the one disrespectful? Hard to say. I need to know more about this. Therefore, because again, it's like you needed to know, like, is the West End going to be the hero and the East End is going to be the heel? Or like, you don't know, right?
Yes.
And it can't just be like where you live.
Yes.
Right? It's way more interesting if people are like, am I the heel? Like, people, if you can get people to actually cast a little bit of doubt on that, that's how you get things moving.
Totally.
So that's why it was such a perfect thing, because again, like, the conflict, the source of the conflict can't be something real.
Yeah.
It has to be a patty that wasn't even thrown. Right, because it's like there needs to be something to resolve about who is being disrespectful.
Totally.
To whom, right, and on what direction does it resolve?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how do we do this? Because the thing is, right now what we've got a lot of traction. We've got a lot of like excitement. And I think we got to start driving people towards some of what we're doing. I think needs to start driving people towards creating very interesting companies.
So again,
like how do you actually do that in a way? You don't have to have the answer, but I guess my question is, what is the most interesting way to do that given all of the variables?
Right.
Given what you know about the world, given what you know about the different cities, everything.
Couple things that usually work.
Yeah.
The first thing that usually works is that for whatever reason, demo days work.
For sure.
Why do demo days work? Well, I think the reason why demo days work is because demo days are a form of gift exchange.
Yes.
Right? Demo day, people actually listen.
Yeah.
Whether they don't listen most of the time.
Yeah.
right? Again, to call back to that earlier piece, it's like, this is actually, so inside the company, the reason why there's this amazing correlation between teams that are successful and teams that do demo days.
Yes.
How often do you do them? Very, very tight correlation. And the reason why this is important is because demo days are when information is actually exchanged about what's going on, because demo days are when people listen.
Yeah.
Right? In project status update meetings, everybody's talking.
Totally.
Nobody's listening. Demo days are when people listen, and the reason why the people are listening is because you're giving gifts to each other of the demos, and that's what makes you receive whatever it is. So if you think about it in a scene like this, it's like, okay, for this to work, you need to create a high information bandwidth environment.
Yes.
Those are scenes that people are attracted to.
Yeah.
Because people really, really want to go to places where there's signal. Right? People are drawn to signal.
Yes.
And what is a high signal environment? Well, a high signal environment is not an environment where there's a lot of signal. It's an environment where people are receptive.
Yes.
Like, that's important, right?
That's
so if
really
you want to
good,
create
man.
conditions where people are receptive, then the signal will be found, right?
And
It
information
appears.
will be more effectively
Yeah,
transferred.
because the student is ready, right? You want to create an environment where the student is ready, and then the teacher appears, right? So if you can do that, if you say like, okay, like when people show up at new, or when people are at 535, or when people are anywhere, right? You have a situation where you cross the threshold, and then again, it's like a transition happens to you where you become a person that is ready,
Totally.
right? How do you do this? Well, one way that you can do this is, again, this idea of crowds, right? When there is a crowd that is in some uncomfortable environment, like the Notman House basement or whatever, you suddenly become ready to listen. Right? How do you do that? You know, well, in some respect, like the environment can't be too nice.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be somewhere where you surrender a little bit to the crowd. And like another part of it is, again, if you think about a music scene, people who are constantly taking turns in position of leadership over the crowd, directing things. That's an essential thing about a music scene. If it's the same people every time, it doesn't work.
100%.
Right? So what you need is you need a situation where you have a group of people who can kind of get things going, who take turns stepping up and doing a performance and being the leader, right? Like, not everybody has to be doing the same show all the time, right? But people where it's like, when you have a group of, let's say, a few dozen people who kind of get into this idea of performing for each other on a regular basis, that attracts people, right?
sure.
Because if they're doing it truly as a gift, people are open to receiving things.
Totally.
Right? Just saying shit.
No, it's good.
Yeah, like the other thing I think that you...
So I'll recap. Maybe I'll give you ideas. So you need a tradition of sharing ideas and a tradition of creating, valuing work. This is what you produce and what you make is ultimately what matters most.
It's not just what you make, it's also what you give away.
What you give away.
What you give away is what matters.
What you give away is what matters.
Yes.
And it matters so much that we're going to create this environment that it very clearly indicates the most important thing to do right now is to listen to this person who is about to give things away.
Yep, that's exactly right. And not just listen to this person, but just listen to each other.
Right.
Right. Once you're open into listening, you're actually open to listening generally. That's why these things work. Is like you go to a demo, and it's like probably you didn't learn something from the person demoing. You learned something from the person sitting next to you.
Right.
Right. But the demo mattered because the demo got you listening in the first place.
Yes.
Again, like if you force it, that's the equivalent of the person on stage being like, "Come forward, like come closer to the stage." It's like, don't do that.
Totally.
Yeah. Whatever you're doing, don't do that. I think there has to be a component of, are you ready? Right? Are you ready to do the challenge? Right? Where the challenge is dance. Right?
Yeah.
What is dance? Right?
The other aspect that I'm noticing right now a lot in Toronto is like a lot of these, like capital money matters, and it's for a specific reason. So what happens is we talk to a lot of like really young, talented people, maybe engineers from Waterloo or whatever, and they're thinking about what to do next.
Yep.
You know, maybe they got something, maybe they don't got something, but they start thinking about what they're going to do next. And, you know, they can go to YC.
Yep.
YC, they're going to get like a $500K check or something like that. I don't know what their percentage is that they take anymore, but
It's high.
is it high?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like 5 or 7 or something.
It's higher than anyone else.
Yeah. So they give away this percentage. They work on this idea. They get $500K USD, you know? And, so that's a really interesting proposition because you just finished school and it's like, hey, go fuck around and do this thing. And they leave, they go there and then they work on this stuff. There's no proposition like that here. There's no valid alternative proposition.
You know what would be really funny?
What?
Imagine if New did grants or something for like, hey, you're a young person, here's a 10K grant or something like that.
Yeah.
Give the grant in USD.
Oh, of course.
It's just a little disrespectful.
Yeah.
And I
No,
love
of course. Of course we would.
Hey, here's it's like here's an 800 here's an 8,000 USD grant, but you have to stay here.
But how do you like what is the appropriate way of like counteracting that? That's something that we think about a lot. Like when you really look at the root cause of that, you know, I think if there was a way in which I think like the reason why YC is so awesome, I think is because maybe for another conversation we can get into like the fundamental formation of YC, but like why is it like they offer like you know, you're going into that environment, you're being around a certain kind of energy, you're getting this check to like mess around, you are going to be in San Francisco, you're going to be like super plugged in. How do you create like what is the appropriate alternative to that?
So the
Like,
reason why YC
with left and right brain thinking, you know?
Yeah, the reason why YC works is because it's like they don't give you anything, but you get everything.
Right.
If that makes sense. It's like,
What do you mean?
you look at any other, imagine if there were like, imagine a Canadian accelerator.
Yeah.
What do you think they would do? They'd be like, we're going to connect you with mentors and give you mentorship.
Yeah.
It's like, who fucking wants this?
Yeah.
Like that's the opposite of helpful, right?
Yeah.
You don't want somebody giving you advice,
Yeah.
right? Advice doesn't have zero value. It has negative value at
Totally.
that point in a startup, right?
Totally.
Because it's like, it's just someone else's idea of what you should do.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the only point when you're at that stage is figuring out what you want to do.
Totally.
That's the only point. And the way that you figure out what you want to do is by learning what really gets you off when you give it as a gift.
Totally.
That's how you figure it out. Right? It's
Interesting.
learning what you want to give. That's how, like, again, story from like Toby at Shopify. It's
Yeah.
like Toby realized he wanted to do Shopify when like he built this thing for himself for making online stores or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he showed it to other people and they were like, this is really nice, but like this will never work in the real world for all these reasons.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I don't care like about what the real world wants. This is what I want to give. It's like,
Yeah.
you can come to my island and have my thing, but like you have to come to me.
Totally.
Right? This is my terms, right? This is just what I want to do. I think there's something really, really, really pure and important about this thing, which is like the whole point of this early stage is figuring out what you want to give.
Yeah.
And this is why I think being in these environments like Mars or whatever, and like fancy building and like getting all the nice shit or whatever, it's like very caustic to this because it tells you that like your gift is unimportant and meaningless.
Right.
It says, no, what matters is you doing business development meetings,
Yeah.
right? What matters is you having meetings booked with important people and achieving milestones or whatever. It's like all of this makes you feel that your gift is small and not the important thing.
Yeah.
This is why I hate shred credits so much.
Yeah.
Right? What shred credits do, it's like, here's free money if you just write down what you're doing. You're like, how could this possibly be bad? It's
Right.
like, because writing down what you were doing is actually really counterproductive.
Right.
If what you're trying to figure out is what do I want to give?
Right.
Right?
Versus like we trust what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it's just because like if you have to justify to an external panel of like, yes, this seems legitimate, it's like it forces you to focus on all the wrong things.
Right.
You focus on all the fake work and not the real thing, right?
Right.
Which is like, hey, like I've actually figured out what it is that like I want to do. And so if you think about, if you can coming back to new and sort of like what could you do? Like the reason why YC is so good
Yeah.
is because there's no mentorship. There's a tiny bit, but like
Yeah.
basically none. They basically tell you if you're fucking something up really badly, they'll fix
Yeah.
your cap table or something.
Yeah.
But like basically it's just like you in an environment of peers where you're all constantly talking and demoing and giving things to each other. You're all selling each other your products for free. You're all doing it's all this big mutual gift giving culture.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's important is because it is a accelerated rate at finding the pure kernels of something that can grow.
Right.
Right. And also like the founder kernel fit, right? It's like,
Right.
have you found a team and a thing that is like the perfect version of something that can go? Whereas again, if you add outside people and like help and advice and mentorship or whatever, it's like, it's not just like valueless, it's negative value. It's like highly negative value. And this breaks a lot of people's minds because they're like, what do you mean? Like, doesn't having the helpful advice of somebody who's been there before and telling you what to do and not do, like, how could that be harmful? Right? That's very insulting to all these people. And like, that's like,
Totally.
it's like, because it tells you what they would do. right? It's like the point is not what they would do. The point is what you will do, right? Like that's the only thing that matters, right? And the way that you figure this out is by trying to give it away and seeing who accepts the gift.
Why do you think that doesn't exist here?
I think it does exist. I just think that it doesn't exist in quite critical
Right.
rate, right? It's like if you
Why,
look at
why
demos.
is there no YC here? Like not
Because
exactly
people go
that.
to YC, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I think the answer why there's no YC here is because people go to YC. Right? It's
Right.
because there is such an environment that's relatively easy to go to,
Yeah.
right? It's easy to go to San Francisco. It's easier to go to these things. But I think if you try to recreate that, what makes it work, the answer is not to recreate it's
No.
like, it's not to recreate what people are saying, it's to recreate the listening,
Totally.
right? And to do that is like, you just have to say like, all right, what would go into being a really gift-oriented environment and how can we achieve that?
I think you're right.
So this is why, like, I have this joke that I
Yeah.
tell people, which is actually like not a joke at all. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, you're in tech. Do you angel invest?" And my line is
Yeah.
like, "No, I write a newsletter instead."
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "What?" It's like,
No,
that's
totally.
my gift,
Totally.
right? It's like, also, I don't have enough money, but like,
Yeah.
even though I did, it's like, no, the newsletter, that's my gift, right? It's
Totally.
like, and again, that's how I think about it. It's like my gift when I am writing it and when I have time or whatever. It's like I'll try to throw one of those out, and like the piece that we talked about earlier, it's like that's my gift, right? It's like,
Super useful, man.
yeah, it's like
Super useful writing.
it's it's one thing to be like, I hope it helps people understand things in a way that works. I hope it just makes people receptive to ideas more. But mostly it's like, I'm not even doing it thinking of you. I'm thinking of like, what does I want to give today?
Totally.
Right? Like there's I think whatever you're doing in life, you want to find yourself, your goal is to get into a situation. Jensen from NVIDIA has this great story. He's like, he's going to Japan. And he's going and touring one of these beautiful imperial gardens. And in the garden, there are these manicured lawns that are being cut. The grass is being snipped by like some attendant, like one blade at a time, who is just methodically going and doing everything. The guy's been there for 50 years. And he asks him, it's like, hey, like, don't you ever, like, is this really like isn't there a faster way that you could do this? Like, do you really want to be doing these blades of grass like one at a time? And the guy just looks at him and says, I have plenty of time.
Wow.
Like, that's what you want, right? You want to be like, I have plenty of time,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm going to create so much if you are not trying to think about like, okay, the goal is to produce more output. It's like, no. It's like, I'm just going to give my gift. Right? Like if you can find what your gift is, you can give it over and over and over and over and over again. And that's how you create a body of work that does something. And again, going back to YC, why does YC work? Fundamentally, the big legitimizing force that makes YC have this, everything that it is Paul Graham's writing.
100%.
Right? It's Paul Graham wrote all of these amazing contexts, and partially that's because it's very good advice, right? He actually understood the way startups were going and how funding was going to work, and there was very practical, tangible value to it. But also it's just because it was a gift, right? Like the original YC dinners and the demos and everything comes from this place of deep, 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 deep gift giving, right? And YC still has that heritage, right? They've changed as little as possible. That's why it works.
Totally.
So again, if you were to say, this is why I'm saying, for Toronto to have its own YC, the starting point is my blog posts. No, just kidding. No, but it's things that are gifts,
Totally.
right? That's where it comes from.
Totally.
Right?
I think it wouldn't be a bad starting point.
I don't think anybody should listen to me in terms of my practical advice of like how to set up institutions and things like that. But I think the gift giving is important.
I think if your pieces were a starting point, I don't think that'd be a bad thing, man. They're really good.
If that's true, then it can't be up to me to bring them into the world. That's the responsibility of everyone.
Right.
It's not me. Yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think is? It's 12:21. We've got a few more minutes to close up before I have to run out of here. Let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
What do you think? What is something where if it were to happen, everybody outside would be like, "New is making it. They're doing great," but you would be like, "Pack it up. It's done."
If we raised a bunch of money against a model, that's like really exciting, like to like maybe the Globe and Mail or something. Mm-hmm. But on the day to day, when I'm talking to like founders and stuff, I just like, no, it's not going to work. If we do something in a way where, we can like make a lot of money, but the culture of like Toronto and the Greater Toronto area and the people here, it's not infused in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're not telling the story that really matters and connects with the people here. that it's okay to go to another place, but it's not good to be unaware of the beauty of where you're in. If you're someone that's like maybe depressed or you're having a bad day, there's a lot of things around that, there's a lot of things around that can lift you up.
Mm-hmm.
You can walk into a plaza, get a nice bowl of pho.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things every day that if you just look around, they can lift you up, So
the thing about Toronto is that we're so rich here in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right? It's a wonderful thing. I kind of wonder, maybe we actually are not seeing what's happening in a sense, because it's like maybe there is an incredible Toronto tech scene. It just is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's not based here, but it's still a Toronto tech scene.
Yes.
Right?
I think there is.
We all know each other,
Yeah.
right? Everybody who is in the Valley, like there's a tremendous web of relationships with people who went to the same 3 high schools, right? People who went to TOPS, like people who did all whatever the other high schools are, right? Like maybe that's actually the thing that we want to grow.
Yeah.
Right. And having places here like new, like you know what I mean? Like this is going to be a butchering of the idea, but like maybe the real like Straussian meaning of new systems is actually like the audience of new is not everybody that's here. It's actually everybody that's in SF. For them to look home and be like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, maybe, man. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's been like people that have come back and they've come to our place and they've been like, holy shit. Like I've seen them been like, oh wow, like it really clicks for them where they see it and they're like sometimes even emotional, where they're like, oh shit, this is crazy, man.
I think that's it can be frustrating, right? When people who are over there in the real place see there and they're like, this is right though, and that's why it's not working.
Yeah.
But maybe that's actually the meaning of this place is as an idea for people in SF to think of themselves as the Toronto tech scene.
Yeah, I think that's happening now.
I think that's actually happening quite a bit more than us developing our own YC or whatever. Like the real way that you build the Toronto tech scene is to build it in San Francisco. And this is exactly how you would do that.
Totally. The only thing about that for me is like, it's a good question you asked, like about what would pack it in. The other thing is like, if it was easy, I think if it was easy, I don't know. So it's more interesting for me to try to like build it out here and just try to get like, what is the extent of what you can do here? Yeah.
Well, I think you have to build it here. I think first of all, I think if you built something that raised a bunch of federal money and then turned into, Creative Destruction Labs 2.0 or something, like, then pack it up. Like, you might as well, that's not going to be much of the point. But again, like if you have go ahead.
I think the key thing that we got to do is we got to figure out what the right defaults are. So one thing I see with like, with Y Combinator, A16Z, maybe some others, and like also with founders, I think another thing that's happening is like we've kind of like we're all discovering what a startup is now. Like we don't not everyone knows what a startup is anymore. And so I think like my question is just like, okay, forget the Toronto thing for a second. Just forget any city. If you were to create, like, how do you effectively create a project that uncovers what a startup is, given what everyone else is exploring? Like if you look at all of the people exploring that question, if we were to take what we're doing and what is the most valuable thing we can do? What are the most valuable defaults that we can start with that yield information that is like a gift to like the general industry that we are a part of to say, hey, we did it in a way that operated on entirely new defaults so that it would yield new information. And like,
Hear me out. What
do you know what I mean though?
No, so hear me out. I bet you that if New sort of had this idea, which is like the principal thing that we make is we make people here giving a very specific kind of gift. Which is giving something to all the people in SF and everywhere else.
Yes.
Right? Making them proud to be from here. That's a really interesting kind of gift. Right? What would you give where it's like the purpose of the gift is to make those people proud of home? Right? From here. If you did that, and if you focused on that being the goal, I think that would be way more effective as a way to organize people here to do things here. Than trying to say, we're going to build an accelerator here.
Totally.
Like there's something counterintuitive about that.
Yeah, totally.
Because again, like,
what would you do?
That's what I would do. I think that's how I would think. Like demo days and things like that. Yes. It's like, wow, like look at all the homeboys at home giving these sick demos. Like I would look, the thing that you want is I wish I could fly home for the weekend to go to do demos.
Totally.
Like that's product market fit for this thing, right? It's people who are like, it's not that I'm going to go build here today, right? Or like the first month or whatever, but people who are like, I need to fly home because I'm so proud of what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Like it reminds me of where I'm from. Like that is real signal that feels very achievable and real. And the reason why it's real is because all the government people are going to be like, well, how does that help?
Totally.
And you're like, because it's a gift, right? It's a real gift, and it's giving something important, which is that you have all these people who are in SF and building great companies and great lives, and maybe they're homesick a little bit,
Totally.
or they have a sense of identity with what's going on here. And if you can give them a connection to here over the internet in the form of like, you have people in here, you host the demo's cool, it makes a great tweet. The tweet goes over there, everybody reads the tweet and they're like, wow, that's awesome. Like, I love what's going on in the West End of Toronto. That's a gift.
I feel like we've achieved a lot of that. I think we could obviously like push it further. I think another thing is like, that's one thing, but I wonder if we could push it a little further where it's like, can we actually make the technology and the companies that people look at and say, wait, what?
But I think this is how you get there.
Right.
The way that you achieve that is not by trying to say, everybody build companies here.
Right.
It's you start by like, what is a gift that you're giving that's real?
Yeah, I think
That's
you're
how you
right.
start.
I think you're right about that.
Once you have that, then then the rest will come.
Right, I
Right?
think
Then
you're right.
everybody else will come, right? But you have to start with something that's a pure gift. And I think it's like, who needs the gift? The gift is everybody out there.
Totally.
They need the gift. We can give it to them. Right?
100%.
That's what I would do, right? I think that's a real start to something. So
I think you're a really cool guy, man. I think
Thank
you're a very nice guy. And I think you got a great friend group. that was my theory.
that's a
after
great
reading
theory.
it. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
look, I would love for you guys to be in that friend group.
Yeah,
This
100%.
is super
dude.
fun.
100%. Really appreciate you, man. Thank you for writing.
Thank you for having
I'd
me.
love to keep chatting, man.
We should. I
Yeah.
think I would love to come back in a year,
Yeah, for sure.
see how things are going.
Yeah. Congrats on everything, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Love you guys. Thank you.
That was awesome, man. Damn. Thanks,
Good
man.
wrap. Oh, that was best. That was so fun.
Yeah. Wait. Let's start again. Where does she live? Sydney? Perth? All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Petey, hope you're having a good day. I hope the weather's nice in Perth, Australia. Wanted to say hi from Toronto. We really like Cairo. He's a good guy. He's becoming a good friend. Yeah, thank you for everything. You want to say something?
Love you and miss you and say hi to the dogs and cats. Love you.